And now it's time for Who's Views Reviews with JT and the Whotastic panel.
Stand by your beds, everybody. Yes, it's a mashup, and I do love a mashup because tonight we are celebrating not just the Cybermen, but we are also celebrating the Master, apparently. Hello, everybody. It's us here at Who's Views. How are you all? Phew, what a scorcher, everybody.
Yes, it is warm, isn't it? Hello.
Good to see you all.
We've all got red faces.
Yeah, really good faces. Yes, hello everybody. We are broadcasting to you on the 24th of June 2026, a day that will go down in history because, yes, here in the UK today, it is another scorcher of the day. It's been the highest temperature since yesterday, and this is really good so far. 2 days in a run, boys and girls. We're doing well here in the UK, aren't we?
Yeah, I'll be snowing tomorrow.
It will be snowing. It will be snow. As you can see, I'm with Bedouia, I'm with Kirsty, I'm with Emilio, I'm with George, I'm with Graham, and I'm with Paul. And yes, we are here, everybody, as part of our celebrations of 60 years of the Cybermen and also our Master of the Universe series as well. And wasn't it nice of Stephen Moffat to write us an episode that actually brought the two series for us together? Wasn't that nice of him?
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. Shame it's a bit weird.
I reckon he got the idea for this story. He had a bag full of character options figures, and he just went, right, so, 10th Planet Cybermen versus the Master.
I couldn't remember what it was about, and I thought we were watching the story about Clara's boyfriend being run over and don't cremate the corpses and the flying Cybermen. So I got quite surprised by it. It's a completely different story.
I watched it and I still don't know what's about, to be honest. I still don't know.
We'll come to you all in the chat in a moment. But not only was it nice of Stephen Moffat to give us a couple of episodes, or an episode where, you know, the two villains that we're featuring here on Who's Views came together, but it was also nice of Peter Capaldi, because yesterday it was nice that Peter Capaldi is going to be appearing at Birmingham Midlands Comic Con, everybody. There you are. So if you're in Birmingham or around about Birmingham, and frankly, why would you want to be? Because it's a dump. Then, you know, you can pop along there and, you know, go and see Mr. Capaldi for extortionate prices.
I wonder how much he's charging compared to Mr. Gatwa, I wonder.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, gosh. Chris Kaz. Hello, Chris Kaz. How are you? It's the heat. I can't talk. Hi. This opens with Capaldi not wanting to regenerate and die. It should have left it there with what came next. The gang's all here, says John Pope. Most of us. The Master and Evil Mary Poppins, says Dr. Red Hood Dwarf. Oh, it's going to be a good one
That's no way
tonight.
to describe Johnson.
Hello, Steve Braddock. How are you? And hello to Julianne as well. Good to see you, Julianne. Legion of James is with us in the chat. Hello, mate. How you doing? Funky, I was saying. Oh, it's Scotch. Raymond Williams is with us as well. I hope you've all got your Dalek Ice Ray lollies. That would be good, wouldn't it? Avon is going, oh, look, he's giving us some little emojis there, Emilio. Isn't that lovely? Some little sun things. And
we need more sun, obviously. Yeah.
FJ Canal is saying, I'd forgotten how snarky Moffat's dialogue was. Oh, I hope we get into all that. I hope
it's a bit contrived, isn't it? Let's be honest. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Look at this. Matt the Silent is already being controversial by saying this was the last canon story of New Who. I love it. Bring it on. Good evening from a sun-kissed Wigan, says Stephen O'Neill. It's sun-kissed everywhere tonight, Stephen. It's fantastic. So, yes. Welcome from a sun-kissed United Kingdom. Bill Lowry, how are you? I had to watch Series 3 of Clarkson's Farm, so I've watched World Enough and Tome, and around 25 minutes in to the Doctor Falls. Oh, well, you're not going to miss much more.
I nodded off at the start again. The Doctor Falls, I have to say. Yeah. So.
Hello, Cyborg, not a robot. Happy sunny evening to you as well. Oh, everybody's with us, guys. We've got a load of the gang with us. Oh, and we've got Matt and Spiel for a super chat. Thank you, Matt and Spiel. Have fun tonight. All the heat has caused me health problems, which is a pain, so I won't be here. Maybe I need an upgrade. Big love from M. Oh, bless you, Matt. Yeah, okay. Get well soon.
Get well soon, Matt.
Get well soon.
Yeah, and he can get us on playback, so we'll send him our messages there. Yeah, hope you're all right, mate. Philip Shore is saying, I can't take the heat. Well, just get out of that kitchen. That's what I say. You naughty Philip. All right, then. So, yeah, okay. FJ Canal is saying, I think the season should have ended with this one. You mean the series? Yeah, I know what you mean. And Phil Shore again saying, Capaldi mentioned his favourite monsters were the Mondas Cybermen, hence their inclusion. I'm sure we're going to get into all that. Absolutely, everybody. Davey B is saying, evening, you saucy bunch of panel. Yeah.
Has anyone noticed that Patrick Troughton doesn't go into the Cybermen? It's the moon-based Cybermen. He doesn't say that.
It's too hot. Bring on the Ice Warrior, says the Forbidden Man. Yeah, do you know, it's great, this, guys, because, you know, I do get messages, of course, from our fellow fans abroad, and they're all going, oh, you Brits, you can't handle this, you can't handle this. They're absolutely right, we can't. We don't even have air conditioning in our buildings or our transport. It's not the way we live. It's just not there. So, no, we can't. Steve Braddock is saying to us, Bill was a lesbian Cyberman, you know. Ooh.
Yeah, I was going to put that my heading there, put brackets, I am Bill Potts, brackets, lesbian, but I thought it was too subtle, so I didn't do it. So, yeah.
£105 for autograph and photo each, says Bill Lowry to you, Paul.
Oh, really? Wow.
Is that cheaper than Gatwa?
That's slightly just, I think. Yeah, maybe about 25.
I'm a bit surprised at that because when he does his music things, he comes out afterwards, and I didn't wait myself, but as far as I'm aware, that he just comes out and when I went to Brighton, he signed like everybody's memorabilia. And he looked really tired after doing like a 2-hour gig. He was really tired. But he signed everybody's stuff and seemed happy to do photos and selfies and autographs for free.
In all fairness, though, I've worked Birmingham Comic Con, and the amount of people who want a cut of the money that's taken, and that inflates the prices enormously. The venue, the dealers, the table owners, whoever the copyright holder is on the photos that they sign, all that sort of stuff. There's so many people before you get to the artist that actually get some money out of it.
It's incredible. It really is.
I mean,
not the same bars.
Yeah, £105. That's a nice round figure, isn't it? It's still a massive amount of money to spend. To get 3 minutes with somebody in a signature on a photograph. That's a huge amount of money.
And some of them want cash as well. So
yes, they do. Yes,
they had that Riverside on Saturday was cash only, I think.
Yeah, everybody has to earn a living, unless you're foreign. Anyway, we'll move on, everybody. So let's get into this because we're going to take you right back now, playthings of Sutek. Yes, we're going to take you right back now to 2017. It doesn't seem that long ago, but think about it. It actually is. Because these stories, 2 episodes, World Enough and Time and the follow-up, The Doctor Falls, were first broadcast on BBC One on the 24th of June and the 1st of July, 2017. Written, as we said, by Stephen Moffat. It was produced by Peter Bennett. and directed by Rachel Talalalalalai. And the executive producers were, of course, Stephen Moffat and Brian Minton. Okay. The overnight ratings for World Enough and Time Bedweer were 3.37 million with a final rating of 5.01, whereas the Dr. Falls was 3.75 overnight and 5.32. So it went up slightly.
And we're not counting 9 years of the iPlayer from now on, are we, either, as well?
No.
That's just checking.
We're not.
That's right, yeah.
It's like it was saying there, I have to point out right now, Who Views, that this is the first time I've watched these episodes since 2017. So like Graham, I had forgotten an awful lot of what has happened. Yeah. And I didn't, and I couldn't remember. And this, for me, was also the last Doctor Who I watched until the Gatwa crap, which we did specifically for this channel. So this is where I'm gone. I'm off now. This is it. It's too much. And can I just tell you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I couldn't remember the episode until this. And that's the moment where I checked out of the series proper back in 2017. This scene, which was obviously shoehorned in because Stephen Moffat knew who was taking over from Peter Capaldi. This whole thing about the gender nonsense in Doctor Who, that was me done there, George.
When I was watching this on Monday night for tonight, we got onto this scene and all the gender woo-woo. I just sat there and actually said out loud, "Oh, can we not?"
Yeah.
I mean, what's that scene? Was that scene actually written specifically and shoehorned in later when he found out? Because these were supposed to be Capaldi's episodes, if I remember correctly. This was supposed to be it. There wasn't supposed to be a Christmas one with Capaldi, was there?
That's right. Yeah.
So was this put in? Am I right? Because at the time it felt, oh, here we go. This is simply because of this, and they're justifying it. And at some point, the BBC, as they did, will come out. Oh no, we established in the show that the Time Lords can change gender. Blah blah blah. But that whole scene back in 2017 took me out of the show so much that even though I watched the rest of the episode and the following weeks, I can't retain the information. I don't remember it. And this time round, I had to pause it, go and make a cup of tea, and then come back because it did the same. It did the same again. It took me out of the story, guys.
Yeah, all the stuff about the Doctor having a man crush on the Master when he was a man and when he was a woman, he couldn't remember all that crap. It's like, really, please,
Yeah, well, Chris Kaz is saying that to you as well, because Steve Braddock, oh yes, I remember that scene when he said maybe the future was all girl. That comes later. And that was another one. And the Doctor referring to having a man crush just now. Yeah.
See, I don't remember this at all.
Did you when you watched it back? You remember?
No, I've expunged it from. We'll obviously get to it, but there's so much good stuff, which is all Cybermen stuff.
Yeah,
that side of it, I've completely removed from my brain. Genuinely.
Was it a shock when you rewatched it then for the show?
No. No, I didn't pay attention. The bits that I paid attention to were the stuff. It was the stuff in the hospital with Bill, and throughout World Enough and Time, and the movement between the top and whatever floor it was that Bill was on. 1056.
I just find the thing like the Doctor talking about any kind of crush, male, female, or whatever, just not in character of the Doctor. I appreciate though. Yeah. I mean, I find it really hard to judge the 2005 plus objectively, and it's really not really fair because a lot of it is because I'm no longer young and getting captivated. And there's, like Ben was saying, I watched this actually twice. Once last night, it was too hot to sleep, and there was lots of quite good chilling stuff in this. But there's also some right horrible bits. None more so than the ending.
Yeah, it is the first episode is a real mixed bag. I mean, I agree with you both. There is some really good stuff in there. But that is so tainted by the real cringy stuff that goes on. And also, speaking personally, the way it was put together the non-sequential storytelling, to me, just kicked the legs from under any drama intention that it really should have had.
It's just trying to be too clever, isn't it, as well? That's the problem I have with it. It's just, can you not tell a simple linear story, rather than try and make it jump all over the place? He does it quite a lot. Part 2's always like, oh, here's kind of a flashbacky kind of bit kind of thing. It's like, it's not needed. Just tell a proper bloody story, for God's sake,
This is what Gareth Roberts was saying, wasn't he, when we looked at his article on Headlines on Sunday, guys? Gareth Roberts was saying, none of this jarring backwards and forwards narrative in the story, just arrive and tell a story. And I thought of him when I watched this last night, or whenever it was, because I got it. Because I just thought, what is going on? And I just always think of the Notwees. 1 minute they've arrived on a spaceship and they're doing what reminds me of the Seventh Doctor. They're doing a sort of initiative test.
I'm Doctor Who. Yeah.
All that crap. And then the next minute they're back in the they're in the canteen of the university or something, which I completely forgot about, by the way. And then they're setting all that up, and it's just jarring for me. It's all over. Just why? Tell a story.
I thought it was almost a Moffat's greatest hits, wasn't it? Because I made a little note of it. It's got, if you think about it, it's got the death of a companion, allegedly, foreboding regeneration, the Doctor's real name, what is that going to be, and that palaver, back and forth narration, a timey-wimey plot device. It's like all the typical Moffat things. It's just complex and a bit hard to follow at times, but I did find it very, very Moffat-y, if that's such a word.
No, it's not, but you can have it. Well,
it is no. Yeah,
thank you very much.
My issue with it is it was so self-aware.
Yeah.
That it was like, oh, we're having this private joke. If you get it, you're in with the in crowd. If not, you're not going to enjoy this. It wasn't made for, or parts of it certainly, weren't made for the viewing public. They were made for a niche audience.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's very smug, definitely.
That's the word, smug.
Yeah.
I agree with that, George. I think that is Moffat's biggest weakness, really, and it happened with Sherlock as well. It becomes too self-aware, too self-referential. If you're like just a normie trying to get into it, it can be very, very difficult. And that's what I think Russell's first version was a lot better at, is you could literally jump into a lot of episodes and not have to really know too much. And it's always like making comments or jokes that only the fans will get, or trying to shove loads of Easter eggs in, rather than going, you've got a really good concept here of a spaceship, time running at different, this is all real science.
Yeah.
Time running at different speeds, and you've got the Mondasian Cybermen in this story, and there's a real kind of there's a really good atmosphere to it. Just focus on it. Don't get carried away with doing loads of other stuff. And
there's just too many ideas, isn't there, Emilio, in this? That's the problem,
Yeah.
Well, wasn't that Moffat's problem all the time in hindsight, Emilio? He had too many ideas. Because you're absolutely right. I find the concept, and I'd forgotten, honestly, because I've only seen it the once all those years ago, I've forgotten what the actual story was about. And again, in my look at all this, he can't pull it off. He can't tell it properly. The idea of a spaceship stuck where it was at that fantastic black hole, and time going all over that's a great science fiction idea. That really, really is. But then he's got, as you say, Paul, he's got too many of these other ideas. And instead of focusing on that one idea with the horror of what is actually a mix between the 10th Planet and spare parts from Big Finish, let's be honest.
Yeah.
That whole thing with the Cybermen, and as John Sims Master says when he turns up, the genesis of the Cybermen. I mean, it's as though that Moffat, as a fan, has been desperate to get that line into Doctor Who for years.
And the inference was the Master was instrumental in creating the Cybermen.
Yes. Yeah. From a Mondasian spaceship, which is out there trying to do whatever it was doing. That bit alluded.
If we want to be really geeky, and this did cross my mind when I watched the episode, the 10th Planet took place in 1986, and Mondas was destroyed.
Yeah.
This episode takes place hundreds of thousands of years into the future.
Yeah.
And Mondas is there.
Or was it? Now, is it? Because I was going to ask you guys this actually as well. Is Mondas actually around at that particular point? Or has this ship just been drifting with refugees from Mondas?
Yeah, because it's Project Exodus, they said, isn't it, or something like that,
so
and that's the suggestion of leaving it. Yeah, I think. Yeah.
I got confused though, George, as well with all that. Michael Nemo, nice to see you, and thank you for your super chat. How they track streaming numbers is very Moffat-y. I feel a t-shirt coming on, everybody. Yes, I do. My little playthings of Sutek. Thank you for that, Michael. Very, very good of you. Yeah, but yeah, it's that whole thing about it's interesting. I love the concept. I just wish he played with that concept more and stuck to it. And why are there two masters in it?
Why are there any masters in it?
Yeah, exactly.
We don't need him. We didn't need him. He's such a terrible master. Yeah.
But
I actually think he's better in this than he was in the Tenant stuff. Definitely, he's much better in this. Yeah,
he definitely made less he's definitely a lot calmer. And obviously, I remember John Sim saying that he's obviously they tried to go back to slightly more old school look with the goatee and the way that the clothes he's wearing. So I actually did prefer Johnson when he's slightly crazy but not full whack, which Russell T Davies always hammed it up to 100. But I do remember that this whole in 2017 the Mondasian Cybermen and the Master of Revelation were already revealed to the audience ahead of the series. So it was kind of weird that they kind of built it up almost like a surprise within the episode. And it would have been an interesting surprise for the audience who knew Johnson's Master that he was coming back, and for the older fans to know the Mondasian Cybermen were coming back. But the cat was already out of the bag, so it kind of lost that kind of surprise element that the story trying to set up isn't surprising to the audience because all of that information has already been revealed. So
the story behind that is that there was a trailer shown at the end of the pilot screening, and the journalists in the room were asked to keep the secret that John Sim was coming back, and someone decided not to and put it out as an exclusive, and then the BBC had to admit that yes, John Sim is coming back, and that ruined what would have been a really decent surprise. And I think that's the way it's structured like that, because that was the plan. It was going to be a surprise that John Sim had come back, but that had been spoiled weeks before. And I mean, I guess if you were Joe Public and you didn't necessarily know that information, it might have been a good reveal, unless you didn't actually remember that he'd played the Master before, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I didn't know because I wasn't following the papers at that point, not as avidly as I do these days for us here on this channel. But, I didn't know. But they did put that. There was somewhere along the line, there was a trailer, and it was either on the Christmas one or whatever happened, whatever the episode was after the Christmas one, which introduced Bill Potts. And there was a trailer, a coming up thing. And he turned around at the end and I went, oh my God, do you remember John Sim's back? That's when I knew he was coming back. And then I had to place, well, where is he going to come in the series? And it was it was the very end.
I think for me, both the Masters in this with Michelle Gomez and John Sim work well together, I think, in this. They're quite a good double act in it, I think. They don't need both of them, I don't think, in it, but they work well together, I think.
Yeah.
Funky is in the chat saying to us, Sim's return did surprise me, but I'd given up on the rumors and news about the show at that point. I think I was about the same, really. Julianne is saying to us, I'd just be grateful Moffat's Paternoster gang didn't show up. I am. I really, really am. Honestly, I didn't like that.
That'd be too many lesbians in that particular episode if they did that.
Is there a quota and that's it?
I think there's a quota, just one at a time. That's it. Yeah.
It was like the actors were struggling to make the dialogue credible. Says Dalek Shalom, the Legion of James. Missy and the Master were not needed in this story and bogged it down in nonsense. I do love the Missy character, but in my headcanon, she's not the Master. Well, I'm saying I'm going to say that. Did you think he did that deliberately? Because there's the Master, and a future incarnation of his is a female, and look what's just about to happen to the Doctor.
I would have thought so. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think it was. Was it known at this point that Jodie Whittaker had been cast?
Probably internally, I'd imagine. Yeah.
Internally, it was.
Because it was announced at Wimbledon that year.
So was that, this is the 24th of June and the 1st of July, Kirsty. So when's Wimbledon? Wimbledon's June, isn't it? Or is it July?
Probably a few weeks later, because
it was
just been on.
No, it was at the
beginning of July.
Aye.
So the announcement that Jodie Whittaker and the trailer was a couple of, I think it was exactly 2 weeks after the Dr. Falls broadcast. Okay. Someone can check that for me, but I think it's about 2 weeks after, because it was on the Saturday, I think, or maybe it was the Sunday.
Before or after the men's finals for Wimbledon.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so it would be the Sunday. So that was 15 days after the Dr. Falls. So I imagine by that point, Moffat probably had the nudge, but it would have been long enough after production.
I mean, I remember I was doing quite a lot of work with BBC Radio at the time, and it was known within the BBC, but embargoed, that the next actor to take over from Peter Capaldi was going to be a woman, but it wasn't known who it was going to be.
Yeah.
I do think that they put the Johnson martyr on there. I think from the martyr's door, more to do not just for the female bit, but also for the martyr story that they're trying to tell, which is, can the martyr, become good, or can side with the Doctor? And to do that, putting Johnson martyr there is almost meant to be a comparison from where Missy is as a character, or to kind of put to question that part of herself that she's trying to leave behind. It kind of there as a comparison, but also I do think they're trying to highlight the old martyr is misogynistic. They're trying to add that political level to it as well. But he's also there to he's there to basically kind of create some that internal dilemma for Missy as a character. Although, like you guys, I've always thought of Missy as not the martyr, but a different character altogether. But
had she been, Emilio, I've always said, had she remained the guardian of the Nethersphere, as she was announced to be in 2014, when it was announced Michelle was coming into the show, then that actual redemption arc for a character may have been interesting. But because it's the Master is not and cannot have a redemption arc, because it has to be the Master. And I do, looking at this again with the benefit again of hindsight, Who viewers, and what we know happened and where we are today, and where in fact DEI has effectively destroyed the show and taken it off the air. You've got this whole thing, you can look at it as I did when watching this back and just think to myself, what they're doing there is they're making the female version of the Master out to be much better than the male versions of the Master. Yeah. And she's the better one of them. But then she goes and changes into a man again anyway, I believe. So what was the whole point of it? What was the point?
But I mean,
he says you gained empathy, right? It's like, like the Master, obviously, like it's like now you're a woman, you're now like you're kind of like, why are you feeling sorry for Bill? So like why have you now got a heart? It's kind of like, it's very, I would say even still it is. I know the Master is meant to be badly, but I do think it's incredible. It's quite reductive, I think, of that character. Like the Master is a more nuanced character, but you don't need to reduce the male version into just a no heart, nasty piece of crap, basically, like and a misogynist, as I said.
But you've had Missy in the first series finale for Capaldi, so she's already kind of done the Master thing of creating a Cyberman army and failing.
Oh yeah.
So in logical terms, it did kind of make sense to bring what was a great character back, and try and do something else with it. So yeah, to try and make her good doesn't really fit with the Master, as a character as we know.
There's also this point from Stephen Braddock, which I agree with. I found the whole thing of the two Masters fancying each other nauseating. That was just perverted in my eyes. That was ridiculous. I mean, they've never done that with the Doctors. And just because one of these ones they've turned into a woman, they did all that. I mean, all that unnecessary flirting, that's him trying to be clever in his writing. And it wasn't. It was uncomfortable. And this was the other reason, guys. I seem to remember thinking, this isn't for me anymore. I want Doctor Who to be good, family entertainment without all these innuendos, without all this sexuality, without all this crap. And here's Moffat pushing all this agenda again. So actually, this is where my point comes in that I've been saying for years, and some fans will disagree. But to actually blame it all on Chibnall and RTD2, no, you've got to start it here with Moffat. This is where it really starts.
I'm not playing devil's advocate here, but do you think some of that might have been forced on the production at the time? That
you know as well as I do that the DEI, the BBC really came into swing around about 2014-15.
Yeah.
But I think he went over the top. I mean, the whole thing about there's that scene you can say now where the Master looks at Missy in a lustful way and just basically says, "Is it wrong that I?" And she says, "Yes."
Yeah, that was horrible. I thought horrible. That's got no place in it. That doesn't even make any sort of sense, does it? It's just done for controversy's sake or
just for badness.
A box ticking exercise.
If these are indeed the same character, putting that sort of dialogue in is just weird at best.
It's weird.
Yeah. You know,
That's why, again, if you wanted to do all that cheap stuff, had she remained the guardian of the Neversphere, there would have been a completely different. You could have brought the Master back, and that would have been, oh my God, the Master's back. And here's the guardian of the Neversphere. And, you know, had she been that in a confused state, the redemption arc for her. But no, they had to go and play the number box game, didn't they?
The thing is, Michelle's really good, isn't she? Like Kirsty was saying, she's such a good actress, and I haven't watched it for quite a while, so to watch it, I was quite surprised. Just she's really, really strong and good, but she's not the Master to me. Really, hasn't got the. I don't understand even the idea of the Doctor being almost obsessed by trying to get the Master or Missy to become good. It was almost like, you know, and I'm thinking, I can't really imagine that with the actual proper Master back in the 70s and the 80s, but it's probably just me. But
I don't know if it is Graham,
the right character.
I don't know if it is Graham, because I think you have to go back, and I've made a note here. This bloody means I have to rewatch Series 10 again, which I'm not going to do yet. But obviously there's a whole thing that I've missed on Series 10 about why was she there? Why was he trying to make her good? What made her think she could even possibly be good?
Remember.
Steve Andrews in the chat saying to us, I think Dewan, I think the Dewan Master is an earlier incarnation of the Master. Oh, that's interesting. And Space Peninsula, maybe controversially, I think they should have let this story be the end of the Master. Shooting themselves in the back is quite a fitting end.
Yeah.
They've made him a Timu version of the Joker anyway. Yeah, so the guys were telling me, that's an interesting point, isn't it?
I mean, I think you could do a really interesting attempted redemption arc with the Master. Okay, it's played by Michelle Gomez, but that could be quite interesting. And then the resolution is that it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
But I think bringing John Sim in as well overcomplicates it and kind of muddies the water, and you have that direct comparison of one and the other, male and female, whereas actually if you just pursued the redemption arc thing, which had been going throughout the whole of Series 10, it might have been a bit more successful.
Yeah, I do agree. I just don't understand why they needed another Master in this, because it adds nothing to the story. Michael Nemo, thank you again for your super chat. What undercut the Master here for me was having him in Spyfall.
That's a Jodie episode, in case you're wondering.
Jodie, that's afterwards. Yeah, I think people were saying about the fact that the Master, after Missy has obviously seemed to have died at the end of it, and she'd gone, because obviously Johnson kills her, the Master comes back like as if the whole Missy arc never happened, basically. Just, you know, back to his old ways, and so they would never explained where in the timeline he fitted in at. But it's just there were people that were invested in that journey, that arc that Bedouin had been speaking about.
What's
so
that?
Not but there are people that were invested in it.
Really?
They're not us, but
when I know we're going off track a little bit, when Dewan came into it, though, I felt they'd brought the Master back far too soon. And when the Master did a reveal in Spyfall, it all grown, not the Master again, and they've done it to death, you know. So yeah.
So you're what Michael was saying was what undercut the Master here for me was having him in Spyfall with no explanation and a different actor. It felt too soon and very abrupt for me. Right, I get it. So what the guys have said and what you get, I understand that now. Michael, in case you don't know, I have never seen and never will see the Jodie Whittaker era. I'm not interested in it.
Are we unlikely to review that episode?
We are very unlikely to review
I've got one really key point, which has bugs me ever since. The Doctor, played by Jodie Whittaker, uses the Master's skin color against him, which is absolutely disgraceful.
Now, Paul and Ian have mentioned this before in one of our episodes, and I think that's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So here he could have used, in a sense, actually, he did sort of use Missy's gender against her. Is the future all girl or whatever he says there? I'm very concerned. I've been watching you. I'm very concerned about my future, Missy. This sort of stuff. I don't know. Avon, if the episode wasn't wasn't Doctor Who, it was a bad sci-fi episode. And Chris Kaz, that Give Us a Kiss line, that isn't the Master. It hasn't been written as comic relief and not a proper villain.
That was cringe work. That was
It feels like an outtake they left in.
Yeah,
it
exactly.
Does.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. That's exactly. Yes, that's a good point. It does.
I mean, one thing that worked against the whole thing for me was this pervading "Have I got news for you" style, sarcastic witticisms that were just so superficial. That if you were to encounter that sort of dialogue in real life, you would bear it for about 5 minutes. You would either leave the room or tell somebody to shut up.
Or worse than that, You're
absolutely right, though. And I think your analogy there with that "Have I got news for you," even though it's been going for 6,000 years and is well past its sell-by date, is absolutely spot on. Stop churning it out, BBC. Get a grip. I tell you what, why not send it out to tender again? Frankie Stanage is saying he stopped Missy being executed. Don't remember that, Frankie, but thank you very much. Funky is saying, I like the Missy arc over the season. Thank you. Okay. I can't remember it, Funk, so I can't agree or disagree. Steve O'Neill, Missy thinks fear is the emotion humans call spanking. Oh, see, these lines can't be done with all these stupid, I call it perversion. Michael Nemo saying to us, Gomez could have been the Rani. I would have rather she had been the guardian of the Neversphere. Michelle, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. Michelle is such a good actor. She didn't deserve to be given an old thing like the Master. She should have been given her own villain. I think
the same can be said for Matt Lucas in this. Matt, what is the point of Nardole? I'm really sorry. I love Matt Lucas normally as a performer. He's like great in Come Fly With Me and kind of thing, and a Little Britain. Lovely performer, very funny, great actor. He's completely wasted in this. There's no character whatsoever. What is the point of Nardole?
He's no idea.
You've just mirrored something I was thinking when I was watching the episodes. It's like, what is the point of that character? What purpose does he serve?
Well, you're not the only ones, guys, because people in the chat have been saying exactly the same thing. There's an awful lot of things saying. I have to be honest to viewers before I read your chats out. I didn't remember he was in it.
I did.
When he comes out the TARDIS, I was like, oh, it's that one. Because I never liked Nadal. I never got it. Matt Lucas got better as the season went on. Frankie Stanage was saying to us, he also said, can we stop having the comics as light relief in Who? Lucas, Williams, Corden, Bradley Walsh, John Bishop, etc., etc. Yeah, there's a lot of you in the chat actually talking about the whole Matt Lucas thing. And he was in it. And Avon saying to us, did anyone like Matt Lucas in it?
Not really, no.
No, I
quite liked him in it. I thought. Well, I guess the point of the character was that he dared to basically stop the Doctor opening up the vault. We've done the first half of Series 10, which is building up to the fact that Missy's inside the vault. But it kind of, I do think he has a good chemistry with Capaldi and Pearl Mackie, who played Bill Potts. I do think they actually do have good chemistry on screen, and he's basically there just to some comic relief, but also to basically, bark at the Doctor, basically, and they have a little bit of a kind of like verbal sparring with each other in a kind of jokey, like not so serious way. So I actually do think chemistry-wise, they do work on screen. I would just say, like, I think Catherine takes the best example of having a comedic actor but can do serious drama at the same time. Matt Lucas, less so, let's just say that. But I did like his leaving scene at the end. I think that's a quite nice way for a character to leave. It wasn't a big thing. It was just a nice little conversation, and you could see the chemistry between Capaldi and him at the end. And it's kind of like a nice goodbye, go and save those people kind of thing. So yeah, I don't actually hate Nardole as a character as much as some people may do.
There's one gag he has I do quite like. There's when the masters come in and they both say to him, "The doctor hated you." And he said, "I had you the first time."
Oh, yeah.
That made me laugh. That was quite funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's weird. Did you say you like Nadal?
Yeah, but I'm slightly biased because Matt Lucas was lovely to work with.
Oh,
That's
there you
what
go.
Peter
Okay,
Capaldi.
fair enough. I don't understand though. The whole thing about Nadal, I can't remember where he comes from. I think it's the Christmas thing, isn't it? Which was awful.
Yeah.
The Christmas episode. And he's a robot, is he?
Yeah.
I can't. So he comes across as a robot. Right. So in this episode, however, I don't know. There's just something about him. Again, I just don't understand why he's there. Why are there two companions in it? And with the Nadal character as well, although he's given something actually to do here and Moffat justifies his part in the piece.
In the second episode.
Especially in the second episode. I find it very strange, though, that I don't know, when he is faced with the Masters, he's just very, whatever. Do you know what I mean? He's just, he was so bored with them. Surely he should have been there's two of them. This is double trouble. This is really dangerous here because there's two of them.
Well, his motivations change a lot, don't they? Because there's in a flashback sequence where they knock the doctor out and he fiddles with the control to make the Cybermen hunt humans or whatever, and Time Lords or whatever. And there's a flashback of him running away scared, in black and white, which is a nice touch. Some of it's quite well directed, but it's kind of interesting that he changes motivation each scene he's in. He's very different every time you see him,
Right. Yeah. He doesn't work for me, is it? Again, it's one of these things where I thought, God, I've got to go back and watch Series 10 at some point, and I just can't be bothered right now. I just think, yeah. Anyway, so, yeah, I don't know. We've got two masters in it, haven't we? We've got, and that was interesting. I don't know if it comes off though, personally. Funky's got a question for us. If this ship is the population of Mondas, who are the Cybermen in the 10th planet? Yeah, so I think I looked at this, as I said there, Funky and the panel can agree or disagree. I looked at this as some sort of refugee ship from Mondas that's got stuck in this thing, and it could have been there for eons by this particular point. That's how I got it.
It's not the whole of Mondas.
Yeah.
Oh, and this is another one. No, it's not the whole of Mondas, is it? Doctor Who 1963, good to see you, mate. Moffat slips back into his Curse of Fatal Death writing style sometimes. The sonic umbrella is so silly, it feels like that. Stephen O'Neill also saying Missy uses a sonic umbrella.
Is that a step up from sonic sunglasses?
I think it's not.
It's on the same level, Medway, I think, yeah.
Similar.
Yeah, I mean, why? What was he thinking? I don't understand. Why wasn't he taking it seriously? This is where I think the love fell out. These people fell out of love with Doctor Who, and I'm including Chibnall and RTD again. They stopped loving the show. They stopped caring about it. They started caring more about how can I upset people, or how can I look clever, or how can I look funny, or how can I tick all these quotas, rather than actually loving the show. A sonic umbrella, sonic sunglasses. Oh, come on!
Well,
what are we doing? Hoping to market it?
River Song had a sonic trowel as well, didn't she? Incredible.
Yeah,
really. Yeah, really. What? Yeah.
I'm just trying to think. Was there any in the new stuff? Was there any like acknowledgement of the old tissue compression eliminator? Was that ever mentioned? I just kind of never mentioned at all.
Well, they get it when Jodie comes up. The one master uses the compression thing a little bit. Yeah.
He comes back, does it? Oh, okay.
Does come back. Yeah.
This is interesting from some guy. Nice to see you, some guy. The Master in season 8 finale felt no threat. She only made Cybermen to give the Doctor an army to say there's not that different. Moffat's Master didn't really feel like a threat. RTD made him into a villain. Again, I don't get the feeling here, some guy, with respect, that the Master is a threat, because I'm dealing with the fact I've got camp and I've got trying not to be camp. I've got these two aspects of the Master.
Which one's which?
Yeah, exactly. And as you guys are saying, they actually play well together, John Sim and Michelle Gomez. They're loving it, but they're loving it just that little bit too much for me, because they've gone a little bit OTT. The real threat for me from this series is the Cybermen.
Yeah.
Yes, now we're talking.
Yes. This to me was the high point, the 10th planet Cybermen, and the fact that they're very faithful to the original 1966 version.
Yeah.
And also what chimed with me was I've always thought, ever since I first saw The 10th Planet, those original Cybermen had a real surgical feel about them, that they were more men than cyber. And they were recovering from the huge replacement limb operations, all the rest of it, and the fact that Stephen Moffat actually built the whole episode around that and how the Cybermen came into being just sort of matched in with how I always thought them. And that's one of the elements of the episode. And I sat there and thought, actually, that's really, really good.
I just wish, George, he had kept with that whole thing, because you guys were saying to me before we watched this, episode 1 is great, episode 2 not so much. So I went in with that mentality, and once I got over them, got myself a cup of tea and got over that bloody awful scene over the chips, I started to watch it again, and I just thought, this is good. This is great. The scenes in the hospital are superb.
Yes.
The scenes with these creatures who we now know are the Cybermen being born. You can smell the newness in this. This is horrifying stuff. Why didn't he carry on with this?
Sorry, go ahead.
So I was going to say, when the nurse comes in and turns the volume down, they're going, pain, pain. That is really horrible. That's so sad.
And then a really clever idea that the the head handles are some sort of neural suppressor. That you cannot feel the pain. I thought, was a very good idea.
Was top stuff.
The lost points for me that they had that stupid mechanical stompy sound effect.
They were terrible.
That only comes the later Cybermen had. It was just they're clearly not mechanical creatures yet. You're giving them a mechanical sound effect. Why?
No, also, it'd be way more scarier if they were coming up to you and you couldn't hear them, or they weren't dumping you. You could play that on screen very well.
I mean, even to go as far as to give them the proper sort of sing-song type voice delivery.
It does, which is Nicholas Briggs again, isn't it?
And it's done really well, I have to say. Really good.
It's done well, and it's done for canon reasons. But Emilio, I love this. I love that whole thing. I just wish they'd stayed in that setting, because that was frightening. I think if it had been about the hospital and that awful city, maybe he was a bit wary that he was going too much into the spare parts thing from Big Finish, which is the same setup. I wouldn't have bloody minded. It's scary, George. That whole setup was spooky. What goes on there is frightening. I think I had to throw the Doctor into the mix of that, and he's in danger. He's in real danger, but no, he has to go and do all these things.
That was the definite high point for me, and I sat there and thought, this is real Philip Hinchcliffe, Robert Holmes territory.
It is.
This
Why
is where
did you move out of there?
This is where you're actually cooking with gas.
There's something I was going to say that I did love about the Mondasian Cybermen, to give them their full title. It's the fact that wonderful illustration on the back of the 10th Planet novelization, when you see the lamp of the Cybermen, the light coming from it, and they use that in the story itself. That is beautifully done. That's so nice.
That's what we've waited a long time to see, actually. And
really
nice. That lovely violent noise that comes out. I did appreciate that. Avon is saying to us, yes, the hospital scenes are creepy. Bill Lowry is saying, fantastic example of body horror. Richard Brooks. The scenes are good in the hospital. We see the inevitable tragedy of the Cybermen. It's brilliant. FJ Canal is saying, kill me, kill me, kill me. Oh, so frightening for youngsters, as the pain thing would have been, I'm sure. I don't know. I just wish where he'd stayed there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think where it falls down is episode 2, The Doctor Falls.
Appropriately.
Because I mean, to be honest, you spend the whole of the first episode setting up the fact that these are creatures, Mondasians, who are dying. We go out into the street with Bill and see that, they're breathing in the fumes and the pollution, under this steel ceiling, and you really feel for these poor patients that are suffering. And they get converted, and we know where that goes. And then immediately in the first part of the second episode, you've got this ridiculous scene where these patients, not Cybermen, the patients are getting shot down and then strung up like scarecrows. Tonally, it is so horrible based on the previous episode where you've really felt for these creatures. And all the imagery about the hospitals is fantastic. It's not the sleeker modern stuff of I don't know, New Earth, where you have the disinfectant lifts and all that sort of stuff. It's none of that. It's basic. I mean, you've got one nurse and one surgeon, so this is austerity mondas, tremendous staffing levels, and it just you get immersed into that environment, and that's for me why World Enough in Time is so brilliant, and why it blew me away the first time I watched it, and everything else kind of went out the window, is because that stuff is so strong visually, emotionally. It just really falls apart then when you get into the Doctor Falls and you've got to create peril and you have to bring back the other versions of the Cybermen, because those are the costumes that they've got in storage and can use, and bulk out the Cyber Army and all that sort of crap. But for me, it's those hospital scenes.
Can I just say one thing? I was going to say about the hospital very quickly. The actor playing the surgeon and the nurse are superb in this. I wish they were in it more, because they're very sinister. They work really well. Sorry, Kirsty. Sorry.
I have to. I'm the same. The World in Time and Enough, whatever it's called, that's the better one. The Doctor Falls. The only part I can defend of the Doctor Falls, and I think it's horrific, is that scene where Bill is she's now fully converted, and she's in the barn, and she still is thinking that she's normal. And that scene between them, I thought that was really good, and how it clicks.
When she does that with her hand like that, and sees the glove.
She thinks she's still normal. She thinks she's still human, and she loses her temper, and she bursts open the barn, and the Doctor just goes, because of that, we need to keep you. I just thought that was really great between them. That was a really good scene. There was a lot of trust in that performance. That is probably my highlight of that episode, because it does it goes up to go down.
The whole thing about that, Kirsty, as well, is it adds to. Imagine if all that had been done in the horror setting of the hospital in the city. That would have been even heightened to more, because at any time the Cybermen grasped them in that setting and got them and did it. Because let's have a look at this, because I want to talk about this, because it's very important in the story. I don't care what anyone says. I love both episodes, says Terrified Monk. And then he goes on to say, but I'm a Capaldi shill. That's absolutely fine. But for me, Capaldi is the Doctor. He's even got the look of the Doctor in this. There's those little looks that he does with his eyes and with the way he turns his face and stuff. It's the Doctor. Dalek Shalom, highlight Bill being shot, down point, Bill returns. Yeah, so that is that's oof, isn't it? But I want to talk about that, because Pete Harrington was saying, how did kids cope with these images? And then FJ Canal saying to us, how did kids cope with Bill being turned into a Cyberman? She was such a fun companion, gently mocking the Doctor's eccentricity and enjoying the adventure. Now, this is the brilliant thing about this story, isn't it? Because again, I'd forgotten this happened until this bit where she gets shot, and then it's sort of, I thought, oh gosh, this is where this is a whole horrific element of this, isn't it? This is the whole thing about Bill undergoing a monstrous procedure, and she is turned into a Cyberman. Again, Capaldi giving a superb performance, as the realization he's years late for her because of the way the story is set up. He's decades late for her. And you can't save her. He doesn't rescue her. This is horrifying. This is a horrifying thing to happen to a companion or anybody.
It reminds me
the issue I had with this, though, watching it, was the enforced feminism about it. That she got Joan of Arc status as a burning martyr. That and I found that once again the companion is more important than the Doctor and all the rest of it. And I think just that path has been so well trod. There's no path left. Just don't do it.
I'm talking.
Go on, Graham. You go first, and then I'll come
going back to the first part, which I mean, I quite enjoyed the whole story, but I thought I was quite surprised how little the Doctor's in the first part. He doesn't really play a major part, does he? Which is quite surprising. So in the second part, he has a larger role to play. But the second part, to me, reminded me quite a lot of an old Troughton story, Base Under Siege, the farm under siege from the Cybermen. And I thought that was quite simple. Whether the first part is very complex, the second part seemed quite simple, really. Base under siege, the Cybermen defeated relatively easily with a few bangs and crashes. But yeah.
Adrian, do you want to say something? Adrian?
I can't remember what I was going to say then.
Oh, sorry. Go on, Emilio.
I'm going to say that the problem I had when I watched it live at the time, and what I have watching it retrospectively is, yeah, the Bill getting shot at the dart is very horrifying, and her being turned into Cyberman is very horrifying. The issue is that it's Stephen Moffat, and the fact that Stephen Moffat cannot kill off characters. He already had, like, Clara had a great ending in Faith the Raven.
That's true.
Death. He cannot kill off his characters. So I'm sitting there at the time watching it, going, please, for the love of God, should leave her dead as a Cyberman. Maybe she sacrifices. Maybe, you know, she just sacrifices herself as a Cyberman and dies, and that's it. Actually, that'd be a great, companion, kind of death, let's say, which we don't really have too much in, especially in the modern version of Doctor Who. And I just think all that build up, and then what's going to happen at the end. It loses all of its impact as you as an audience member. So I think the issue with this is Stephen Moffat, for the love of God, learn to kill off characters, because I think it just ruins your experience as an audience member when you're watching it, because he's just going to revive them in some nonsense.
Can I counter that a little bit? So the thing I was going to say is it actually reminds me a lot of Earthshock, which is my favorite story, because for once you have the Doctor failing and not being able to save the companion, and he gets down to floor 1056 to realize Bill's been converted, he's too late, and he hasn't been able to save them this time. But the problem you have is, as Kirsty was rightly saying about those emotional scenes in the barn, you've got to have Pearl Mackie stood there in order to convey that emotion. And you can kind of get around it by saying, oh, well, this is how Bill sees herself. But in order to make those scenes have that impact, you've got to have Pearl Mackie in there. It wouldn't have worked if you'd had just, that poor extra in the Cyberman outfit and Nicholas Briggs's voice. So he's delivered something really good, but he can't execute it perfectly because he's hampered himself by the setup he's created.
Interesting. We've got this is a good topic. I like this one. This is good. Lena James saying to us, I'm going to defend Bill. She could have been an okay companion, but for the writing, for her characterization and dialogue, turned it into nothing more than a tick box virtue flag wave in every episode. I have to say, I've forgotten about Bill. Totally forgotten about her. And I think it is obviously down to the writing. It's nothing to do with Pearl Mackie. She does what she's got to do. But I don't think the companion is strong enough. And obviously what he's had in his mind, from the moment she meets the Doctor, she's doomed. Because that ending, which we'll come to, was set up at the beginning of her story, if I remember correctly, in the Christmas one or wherever she comes in.
The first one, yeah.
Thank you. So it's all being planned. So he knew where she was going to go. He knew what he was going to do with her. And as Emilio says, he knew he was going to bring her back, didn't he? But Pearl Mackie in this is very good. And there's an element there. Again, I think the director, possibly Rachel Taylor, has, for whatever reason, toned down. I don't think she's horrified enough. I don't think she's angry enough. She's just been turned into a Cyberman. I don't know about you guys. I'd be bloody livid.
Well, like we said about the shock of her being shot in the chest, and there's a big hole there. And then Moffat, as I said earlier, jumps back to the flashback. That takes all the sting out of the tension.
It just completely.
Yeah. Space Peninsula also saying, I think Pearl Mackie is excellent. This is a real underrated gem of the modern series. That's highlighting my point, Space Peninsula. I don't remember her. and that's a shame. That's a shame.
If you didn't have Nardole in this, I think we'd be more focused on Bill. I think Nardole waters down the fact she's in it as well, because he dominates a bit as well when he's in it. You know what I mean?
Avon is saying, I agree with Kirsty. It's a good scene. Sorry, Bedweir. And Stephen O'Neill. JT, I love both episodes. Great. I think Capaldi was the best Doctor of the new era. Well, there you go. Yeah. So do I. But I'm probably getting... Yeah. It's one of those things. It's one of those things about which Doctor you like best, isn't it? Richard Brooks, superior Cybermen would eliminate inferior ones. There is no logic in preserving an inferior potential competitor. God, yeah, they would upgrade them, wouldn't they? Surely. Julianne,
I quite like.
Go on, Emilio.
Sorry. I was gonna say I quite like that idea. Again, I would have rather they stuck, as you guys were saying, in the setting in part one. But I do think that the idea that because of the time dilation, basically there's an inevitability that the Cybermen are lower down in the ship, so time moves faster for them, if I remember correctly. So basically, the Cybermen will be upgrading a lot faster, and basically by the time they catch up, they've already gone through a few version upgrades of themselves from where the Mondasian are. I do think there's an idea there, and I don't think it was executed necessarily to the best, but I quite like that because it basically meant that basically there was an inevitability that the humans up in the farm basically were kind of screwed, really. It created a kind of you can't really get out of this situation, which I quite liked in the finale.
There's a part of that though, isn't there, Amelia, where the Doctor knows that. The Doctor knows that, and he's still pushing, he's still fighting for it. But I don't think I agree. I don't think the average viewer would have got that. You've got to remind them, because it's actually quite, for us as sci-fi geeks and Doctor Who nerds, it's an easy plot. Imagine if you're a Notwe and you've tuned in on a Saturday night for some Doctor Who. Yeah, let's get some baddies going. Yeah, let's go in it. And you're given this. You have to think about this.
After see JT as a sci-fi Doctor Who nerd, I was completely lost by the plot. I'm sorry, it didn't make a lot of sense. It's an absolute mess, this plot. It really is.
I don't think it was helped, as I said before, that it was told in such a non-linear way.
Yeah.
That if it had, the conventional beginning, middle, end. I mean, the cold opening of the first episode was the start of the Doctor regenerating.
Yeah.
And then you get the titles, and it doesn't pick up from there.
What was that about?
Why do the second episode.
Well, I don't understand. Why do that? Again, it ties in with what Paul is always saying, more so now than ever, how they messed around with regeneration in this version that just ended now, and how it came into everything. It was regeneration. It's the whole point of regeneration to the point that here they are explaining what happens the week after, which didn't turn out to be the week after and turned out to be months later. Here they are doing it at the pre. Why? It's supposed to be impactful, a regeneration. It's supposed to be the end of a Doctor. It's supposed to be a death. And this is Moffat again saying, oh, well, we haven't done it before, so I thought I'd do it now. Why?
No. So the whole idea of the Cybermen, in their first appearance, is that they are trying to prolong their existence. They are human beings on Mondas who are ill, dying, and they're trying to go beyond their lifespan, and that's exactly what regeneration's all about. And those themes are obviously revisited in what was meant to be the regeneration story, and you're parodying the 10th planet with returning Mondasian Cybermen and a regeneration. That's then overcomplicated and ruined by the fact that we then have to do a Christmas special, and then it kind of goes off the rails by bringing David Bradley to play a version of the first.
Let's talk about that later, because I can't be bothered with it.
The whole theme of extending life is what the Cybermen are, and is what regeneration is, and it's just merging those two.
But again, I'm going to say, was it necessary to do it the pre-title sequence? I think they should have just pre-titles, shown the ship at the black hole, TARDIS arrives, bang, cliffhanger, because they always put the cliffhangers in the version that's just finished. They put the cliffhanger before the theme music gets in, So you had some sort of cliffhanger there, whether they're on the way up or something like that, title sequence, and then get on with the story. I think, again, for the Notwees, keep the regeneration always to the end of the episode.
I wish they'd started with the Cybermen at the start in the hospital and the pain by the woman turning it down. That'd been a real hook. That'd been superb. Yeah, and more of that, please. You know,
that's the sort of Doctor Who. I mean, Moffat's done this sort of thing before, hasn't he, guys? Let's face it, everybody. The Empty Child is the one I really remember, and that spooky element that's within that. Are You My Mummy took Britain by a storm. I don't know if Emilio and Kirst will remember this because you were little, but it was a storm. Everybody was going around saying, "Are you my mummy?" You know, the series started to refer back to it in itself because it had been that popular. But yeah, he does this where he can do it when he wants to. It's as though, for me, guys, he writes something like this one, this World Enough in Time is horrific, and it should be, because it involves the Cybermen. And as we're explaining through this year, where we're celebrating 60 years of the Cybermen, the whole concept of the Cybermen and what they're about is horrific. This was the nearest, I think, we got to that genesis of the Cybermen story we wanted to. And I think he got halfway and thought, I'm going to completely reverse that for part 2. Why?
Yeah, it had reverted back to what is, well, basically everything else since 10th Planet is we are going out into the universe to assimilate other people, other creatures, and grow our numbers. And when you get to 2006, it's all about strength and stomping around the bloody place. But you know, it was returning the Cybermen back to that original horrific concept, which was fantastic and it was long overdue.
Yeah, and again, it showed the Cybermen that Emilio and Kirsty have grown up with, which I don't like, and we've discussed this. We have all discussed this, haven't we, on our show? The Iron Man, as Emilio called it back in our launch show.
And the flying doesn't help, does it? Let's be honest.
I know, all that stomp nonsense. Here we've got, as the Doctor recognizes, it's a Mondasian Cyberman. Interesting.
I was so excited for that when it was first broadcast.
Yeah.
I was living, when it was broadcast, I was living and working in Lanzarote, so I couldn't watch it. So when I finished that contract and I came home, I caught up with all of season 10. And I just thought that was fantastic. I was so excited because I remember my dad telling me about this and seeing photos and clips of the Mondasian Cybermen. So, like, that was my first time seeing them. And the first episodes with those elements, I just thought that was wicked. And that's the kind of Cybermen I want, because the Cybermen are a horrific. It's horror. It is pure horror for capital H.
Yeah, it is.
I don't want to follow them.
But he's so good at that, Kirsty. He's so good at setting it all up. It's just a shame he sort of
chickened out, really, to be honest.
Yeah. It's a common fate, isn't it?
I think it suffered.
I
think it suffers from the fact that of the New Who kind of like regeneration stories, that they have to be like these big things. When I think actually, and so it's very easy for someone like Moffat, who needs someone to keep him restrained, to basically chuck in all of these other things. Whereas I think if you just focus on telling a really good story, like close-knit, atmospheric story, and then the Doctor just happened to die at the end, then it would be much more impactful. And he can still have some of his elements of his story. He could have spent the first part of part 2 then being stuck at that lower level, but basically you get to meet some of the human beings that are still not being converted, and they're basically scared, they're on the run, create that like atmosphere. And then maybe when you get to the middle of that story, you then the only thing they can do is go up, right, the ship, which means that basically you can then have those other versions of Cybermen come in at that point, and it basically be that, you know, they killed the Doctor. He could have kept some of the elements he had in part 2, but that shouldn't have been the focus of the story, if that makes sense. They should have spent more time building on what they did in part 1. Not to say he couldn't have got to where they did get to in part 2. I just think it's not executed the best way.
I think it would have helped if they removed the master element. If that came out of and just had Cybermen, that would have been fine.
Yes, exactly.
To me, I think that they should have kept the horror.
Yeah.
The body.
I must admit, when I watched this again recently, like yesterday, the horror stuff is quite strong, isn't it? All through it, and even in the second episode, I'm trying to think what there's an illusion about why they have children rather than adults, because there's less to throw away, isn't there, or something? He says, doesn't he? In when they're walking down the field part, as if to say like less parts of the child to be disposed of or something. It's quite grim, and I'm thinking back. The Capaldi era all through was probably the darkest of the new revived series, wasn't it? Which does appeal to me immensely. And when George mentioned, Robert Holmes, Philip Hinchcliffe era, I did get that kind of vibe of this, especially in the first part. Especially, but every time you start really enjoying it, like you say, you get this contrived dialogue, or you get some virtual signaling bit which spoils it, and it's just such a shame because it could be really good. But it's not quite good enough because they do have these strange kind of. I mean, like you were saying, JT, the innuendo bit is horrible. It's not right. It shouldn't be there. It's not that sort of a program. I don't want to hear the Doctor making crude remarks or the Master making silly remarks. It's not. I know maybe I'm old and boring, but it's not Doctor Who to me, and it doesn't make sense.
It's old and boring. I think it's just knowing, Kirsty, that what Doctor Who is.
It's not right, is it? And also, here's the thing: what do we think of? Maybe it's me, so bear with me. Am I right in thinking that basically Capaldi says, "Look, I'm not going to regenerate. No, I'm not going to do it," doesn't he? He's like determined not to, and all that. And that's like in the classic series, no one had a choice, and you didn't get permanently say, "I'm not going to turn to Tom." He just turned to Tom, and you know, and taken to extremes. Pat could have said back in the day, "I'm not going to become John Pertwee. I'm going to stay as Pat," couldn't he?
You can understand why, can't you? Though, to be fair,
I can. I mean, in the state of the character. It actually mirrors what Capaldi has said recently in Mirror Life. You know, he's had too many. He actually this time he wants to give up. He wants to die.
Yeah, that's quite.
He doesn't want to do it anymore. He's been going for over, God knows, 2,000-3,000 years. He's just seen his friend turned into a Cyberman. He can't help her. He's quite prepared to keep traveling, I think, with Bill as a Cyberman, Cyber Bill. You know, I think he's quite happy to keep her on board. This is the thing about it. You know, saying. And maybe they can travel, and maybe they can find some way of, reversing the process. That would have been interesting, I think. But then again, I like Croton from the Doctor Who Weekly. But you've got this whole thing there where you actually, I feel for the Doctor at this point. No, this is it. Just no, I'm not having this. I'm going to die. I give up. I'm fed up with the lot of it. I think that's something different.
Yeah. Can I ask someone to clarify something for me? Hold on a minute, Graham. Can I have to clarify something? What actually caused the Doctor's regeneration anyway? Is it when he gets grabbed by the Cyberman that electrocutes him? Or is it the bit where it hits him in the head? Or is it later on? Because I wasn't ever quite sure what actually caused him to want to regenerate anyway. They never make it clear in New Who. It's always some contrived way of doing it. Let someone fall off a radio telescope or get radiation from a spider or something, but something obvious, you know? So why did he regenerate, you know?
I think it was all of that above. I think it was a case of because he is shot as well, isn't he, Kirsty? I'd forgotten he's shot in the forest. He's shot a lot and he's blown up a lot. Plus his will, I think his will to live, Emilio, was just gone. I think he's just like, I'm done now. I'm absolutely sick with this.
They follow up on that point, JT, that you just mentioned in the Twice Upon a Time, which is where the Doctor, because at the end it's very much the Christmas armistice, right? It's set at the end with the TARDIS, and the Doctor basically kind of explaining to not real Bill and not real Nardole that his life is a battlefield, and he, as you say, the people in the chat will. But basically, his argument is, I don't want to regenerate because my life is a battlefield. Like basically, everybody left, and he's, as you say, he's had enough. He's lost too many people. He need, at some point he needs to rest, right? And it kind of goes back to what Tennant Doctor said, I think, in his regeneration story, that sometimes a Time Lord can live too long, and it kind of ties into that. But yeah, I do think the regeneration though for Capaldi is actually when he's hugged by that Cyberman, because he's already got regeneration energy before he's in the battle part 2, where the Cybermen basically shoots him with his laser thing. So I do think it was the Cybermen's hug that called him to.
I did actually smile when Capaldi was running through the forest going, Mondas, tell us. So he's having a wheel of a time doing that. That was fun. Yeah.
Marinus. He mentions Marinus, which is lovely, because that is, for those people don't know, Marinus is a reference to a Doctor Who monthly comic strip where the Vord evolve into the Cybermen.
Yeah.
You know, hugely, well, not hugely, but controversial at the time, kids, because a lot of the fans were going, that's not right. The Cybermen came from Mondas. But, you know, it's very interesting. It's a great story. We might look at it one day on the show. I'd forgotten, though, that this was Capaldi's regeneration story. What was planned to be his regeneration story completely. As a regeneration story, the only thing I like about it is the fact that, unlike everything else in the version that's just finished, this is tagged, well, apart from that beginning, you know, if you got rid of that bit we've said before at the beginning of World Enough Time, this is just tagged on at the end. And I like that. It's not like all the others where it's building up to it and building up to it. It's just tagged on.
The fact, I love the bit as well towards the end when he's actually lying down, they get the flashback, the Homo to Logopolis almost kind of thing. And then it could have potentially regenerated lying down for a change, would have been nice.
Or you could have ended the series there, Paul.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Did anyone catch?
Well, I would say,
the floor? Did anyone catch, though, at the end of the second episode when he's lying on the floor and Bill and the puddle bird, and she's flying the TARDIS, and Bill's like, "How can you fly the TARDIS?" And she's like, "I'm a pilot. I can fly everything, even you." And when I rewatched it this morning, I was like,
that was dreadful.
Yeah.
I forgot about
I was
that.
like, show.
Yeah, that's a horrible thing to say, isn't it? I mean, that, it's a very control freak element, that even you. I mean, I would have been the same there, saying, okay, can you take me out of being a Cyberman now, leave me here, and just go, and don't ever come back. Thank you, you control freak, weirdo freak.
But the fact they're called Heather and Bill, that's really quite sad as well, isn't it, to be fair? Yeah.
Is this ever explained, by the way? Because at this point, you know, I mean, we've jumped forward a lot, but that's fine. They leave the TARDIS like this. I take it at this point, Bill... she's left the cyber body at this point, hasn't she?
Yeah, she's now a water creature, or whatever she was, a puddle creature.
Is it ever explained again what happens to her, or is that it?
I think that's it. Yeah, so she comes back as a flashback in Twice Upon a Time, doesn't she? Like a glass person and stuff. Yeah, but
a memory, basically. Yeah. Memory of a glass.
I can't remember, but wasn't her ending very much like Clara's? Didn't Clara go for that shield or something? If I remember rightly, I'm trying to remember it. It was similar. I thought we've done that last time, didn't we?
Yeah, we've done it before.
He didn't learn his lesson, Graham. That's the problem.
Julianne is saying to me, "Of course, the Vord are related to the Cybermen. They share scuba suits,
and they've got handles as well, haven't they? Let's be honest. Yeah. So.
Well, they've all got an aerial
as well. Yeah.
I want to go back to the point about Bill. And the fact that I was very disappointed with the whole thing, that it's a great storyline, and it's not happened in the reboot version or the original version where a companion is actually turned into a Cyberman. That's why it's so horrific, and it's so dramatic, and it should have had that impact. And of course, with it being Moffat, as we've discussed, it never does. But there is a fantastic scene, and it's in the Doctor Falls at the beginning of it, where Bill is carrying the Doctor. And this, for me, I quite like this because it showed that this character that was wasted in this, you know, she's really strong. The bond she has for the Doctor overcomes absolutely everything. She's the one that's going to try and help him. She's the one, even in that state, she's put the Doctor first in that state. And then you just get the other two mincing around her, you know, those two.
Yeah.
And I just think it's a shame, really, with the whole element of the Bill becoming a Cyberman isn't really played on, apart from the scene that you mentioned in the barn, Kirsty, which is absolutely beautifully done. But I think at this point he loses that whole element he set up in part one, because he has to explain why there's two versions of the Master, and he has to play on all that. I just found it a little bit disappointing, unfortunately, if you know what I'm saying.
It's the thing, none of these showrunners, or I hate the expression, the showrunners, they're always like that. They will, it's a wee bit of a a wee tease, a wee nip for the first episode, and then you get absolute blue balls in the second one because they just let you down. There's no way to describe it. That it's, if it was to ever be resurrected, it needs someone that can actually just have the balls to do something and just pull it off. Because we've never ever, I don't know about you guys, can we pinpoint any two-parter where the second episode has been as good as the first in any of the New Who stuff?
Not
certainly Stephen Moffat's one, certainly, yeah.
Well, that Satan Pit was quite good. The Satan Pit in part 2 of the Satan Pit, that was quite good.
Yeah.
Another observation. Another observation for me about the second episode, and I know I frequently level this criticism at the 80s Doctor Who that I'm familiar with, is you get an absolutely fantastic actor and you give them a nothing role. And that's exactly what they did with Samantha Spiro. I mean, brilliant actor, bugger all to do.
I'd forgotten she was in this.
She probably has.
Well, probably. I mean, obviously, you know, I mean, that's fine. I mean, that's what actors do. Jobbing actors, you might not get the big part, but
she was great as Barbara Windsor, though, wasn't she? Let's be honest.
I mean, she's phenomenal. I mean, I saw her be Barbara Windsor on stage, and believe me, she was Barbara Windsor.
And then she got that gig on the television version, didn't she? But I forgot she was totally in this, and she just gets lost in this padding.
Yeah, I mean, she's a phenomenally talented actor. And, you know, to sign up somebody of that caliber and give them next to nothing to do, what's the point?
But there was that other bit about it as well. He couldn't help himself again, George, could he? There's another bit of innuendo. I'll try anything once. Knock it off.
Yeah, it's like, can you not write something else? Yeah.
It's tacky at this point. How does a parent, how do parents explain some of these lines to their children? I'd be bloody mortified, especially if they're little. I don't want to explain. I'll explain stuff like that to children, you know, if I had kids when I wanted to. You know, Emilio, you've got all this to look forward to, I tell you. Space Peninsula is saying, my understanding is that the Doctor and Bill both leave each other thinking the other is dead. Yeah, that's what I got. Sadly, the giggle implied the Doctor knows her. Did it? That giggle was that awful Tennant thing, wasn't it, when it came back in 23?
Yeah, that's the one with Shooty regenerates. That one.
Kirsty's doing this for puppets.
Clara and Amy and Bill. And the toy makers just about, and the Doctor's trying to be like, well, it's fine. They're better now, or they're off somewhere else.
That's all right then. Is a favourite line I like. That
one. I'd forgotten that, and I'd completely forgotten the reference to other companions. But no, good point, everybody. Thank you for that. Space Peninsula also saying "Under the Lake and Before the Flood" is excellent. Yeah, that's actually quite good.
I love that one. Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
Chevy Whithouse wrote that one. Just to go back to Kirsty's point around like the part 1, part 2, I do think. Ultimately, it comes down to the fact that I don't think RTD, Stephen Moffat, I'm not going to go into Crib Tribunal, but they don't think that us as a young audience at the time growing up with the show could have a story which is very contained, self-contained, tells a story, is atmospheric. They always want to, there's always that, like, I don't know, like hunger to just add loads of stuff because you've got to keep children busy, and you know, we need explosions, and we need the masters here because you know, we need to make it even bigger. I think there's almost like a fear that just telling a story like that we're not going to like. But what baffles me about that is the Doctor, the Empty Child, the Doctor Dances, Human Nature, Family of Blood. Even I know Midnight's not a two-parter, but it's a very, very self-contained, atmospheric episode. Those stories were very well received. So why didn't cotton on to go, actually kids can and do want a two-parter that tells a story that is atmospheric? It clearly is well received, but they just have this like urge to add all of this shit. Excuse my language, but and I think that's the problem. Whereas I think if they had a Philip Chincliffe or a Barry Leck there next to them, reining them in, then a lot of these ideas that they have would have actually been executed a lot better.
Do you think this is because, guys, and I mentioned it earlier, And let's give it the due. Big Finish did a classic story, an amazing story called Spare Parts. By the way, on the way, being reviewed here on the channel, everybody. Make sure you're subscribed. It's in the plan. Amazing story. Incredibly horrific. I get the same vibe in The World Is Not Enough on the lower levels here, right? I do get that. I get that vibe there, and I love that, and I want more of that. Do you think it's because, or do you think Moffat was so aware of the huge success of that wonderful story by Mark Platt, that's why he backed off?
Possibly, I think he may have done, yeah, because he didn't want to ruin that. But it's unusual for him to think like that. But Big Finish also did Real Time, the Colin Baker one, where there's a lovely twist in that. I won't give it away in case you've not heard it, but they did that really well, similar to what reflects in this story with Bill, similar kind of idea, and it works really well, much better in that than it does in this, I think.
And note on that one, Real Time also on its way, everybody. We are celebrating 60 years of the Cybermen this year here on Who's Who's. This is also part of our Master of the Universe series as well. Again, part 2. Where are the Cybermen?
Yeah.
What
they're flying around.
Yeah, when they started flying, I didn't. I was. I mean, again, it's been. To be fair, it's not the first time they've flown. They flew in the other one, didn't they? When the previous Capaldi story, I think, didn't they?
Mondasians didn't need to.
It doesn't sit well with me, to be truthful. But I'll tell you another thing. I don't know what everyone thinks. I'm not sure what I made of the Capaldi speech about Stand With Me, but I will say one thing. Capaldi delivers it brilliantly, doesn't he? He's a really strong actor, and he gives a great performance on that particular bit. But again, I'm not sure I can imagine that it seems strange. I can't imagine the Master ever even trying to be rehabilitated and agreeing to stand with the Doctor. And if Missy's supposed to be the Master, I just didn't really feel that was likely to have happened. But I admire Capaldi's acting in that. He does a really strong speech, doesn't he? And I quite actually admire John Sims when he says, "Look at this face. This is the face, as this is the word you just said," which is quite amusing.
That for me is the Master. But again, it's played, isn't it? Because what you've got here in that speech, which Capaldi delivers brilliantly, by the way. And again, I'm going to say it. Peter Capaldi in these 2 episodes is the Doctor. You know, he's just got it down pat. He knows how to do the Doctor. The biggest thing they got, one of the biggest mistakes at this point they did was letting Capaldi go, or the other thing about it. But this whole speech with these 2 there. It's yin and yang, isn't it? You know, Graham, that's what this is about. And I suppose this is about part of that arc that they've got going, which I can't remember, about the female version of the Master, Missy, which I don't agree with, as you'll all know, and the hardness between them. And I think, again, it's about the whole thing. She listens, doesn't she? She bends. She actually betrays her, is it past self?
Yeah, supposedly, yeah.
She can go after.
So she triggers his regeneration into. Hang on, I've got this here. She triggers his regeneration into her. Well,
they don't specify exactly, do they? It's kind of alluded to. It might be, but could be another one along the line. You know. But...
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. It's very, very bizarre.
It's
those sort of things that my guide. Yeah.
I was going to say, she does say "Welcome to the Sisterhood," so you kind of implying that he is going to regenerate into her. I actually agree with Greg. I think the way Capaldi delivered that speech, I think he's trying to get across to the Doctor clearly knows it's the end for him, and he knows that basically it's a cry out for help. Basically, one last time, let me try and convince the Master to come, basically to not be self-centered, not be selfish, just do the right thing. And so I do think it's a speech that does get to the heart of who the Doctor is and what he hopes or wants to achieve with the Master. I just think, as we've already said, that the Master is not one for turning. A leopard doesn't change its spots, which I like. Then John Sims' reaction to Missy when he's like, and he shouts with real anger, I'm never going to stand with the Doctor. And I thought that was really well delivered from John Sims. And that I wish we'd seen more of that version of John Sims' Master, because John Sims is a good actor and he can act. And I think it's a shame we didn't see that.
I must admit, I was quite surprised watching it again yesterday. I thought Sims was quite good in this. I thought all through it, he was much less of a pantomime villain than I remembered him being.
Yeah.
I mean, previous ones, I think he was well and truly over the top, but this particular one,
the writing,
he works well, doesn't he, with Michelle Gomez. And it's a strong pairing, a little bit like a Robert Hudge pairing almost, isn't it? Of character.
It's trying to be. Yeah. It's trying to be. It doesn't quite do it now. Considering that Moffat has done more than one Doctor in the room before, he could have played with it the same way for the Master, but he had to bring all this innuendo and nonsense and silly lines into it. But the other thing about the whole thing he was saying there about for me about the way Capaldi is delivering this line to the Masters. Again, this would have been a great way to end the program there for the simple reason Capaldi is lonely. The Doctor is lonely here. His best friend from eons ago is leaving him to face his death on his own. That must hurt the Doctor. So he's desperately trying to say to the Master, stand with me, stand with me, stand with me. Stay with me because I know we're going to die. That's the end of it. You can't get out of this. And I actually felt Capaldi brought that across beautifully. And that's what I got out of that, is the fact that these are the Doctor's last moments, so he thinks. This is him saying goodbye. And he wants his best friend from a previous life, eons ago, to be with him at that point to share that. Yeah. Of course, the Master's going to turn around, bugger off, mate. not a chance. Yeah, but I thought that was lovely. That was
some weight, doesn't it?
Yeah. Derek Hart's with us in the chat. Hi, Derek. Funny line with Missy and Sims Master flattering each other. The Doctor, you two want an empty room. Yeah, that's part of the tackiness, isn't it, about this whole thing? I mean, God forbid if they ever did a reboot version multi-Doctor thing where, they're all with Whittaker. What would happen there? I mean, goodness me, I just, no, especially if Moffat wrote it. I couldn't understand, said Philip Shaw, why Missy kills the Master. He was leaving. I don't understand that either. There's that bit I don't understand. And then there's that other bit, which is Moffat playing with time as he does, where Missy grabs the Master and says, I remember, I can't remember the dialogue, where a very frightening woman grabbed you, pinned you up against the wall and told you to put a dematerialization circuit in your pocket. And then she produces it from the Master's pocket.
Yeah,
I thought that was lazy, a lazy way of getting out of a situation, but just me.
They always seem really scared as well in New Who to show that the Master's TARDIS, even just as the outside of it. He never seems to have one, really. You never really see it, you know what I mean? Which is disappointing for me.
Yeah. I bet it's got a black console room, Paul.
Probably, yes. Yeah. I'm sure they've got a pot of black paint in Cardiff somewhere they can use. Yeah.
Listen, last week on the show, of course, we actually reviewed Time Flight from the Fifth Doctor's era as part of our Master of the Universe series. And we were all getting at the fact that the Master had dressed up as Khalid in that one. Well, here we go. This is a reason in this one where the Master is again in disguise. And it's actually explained why he's in disguise here, because he ruled this little planet, according to Moffat. He ruled the space station, rather, yeah? And he got it incredibly wrong, which led to the creation of the Cybermen on the spaceship. And had he stayed in his form as the Master, he would have been got at by the public of this thing. So he had to have this. I actually quite like the fact that for once it's explained why the Master is in some disguise. I appreciated that this time around, but it did remind me about us getting at the fact, why is the Master dressed up as Khalid?
I liked his mask when he was taking Bill into the conversion theatre. His little mask on. But no, you're right, JT. It was nice to have a proper explanation why he was disguised, wasn't it? With the little goatee beard and the shawl around it. It did make sense. It made a pleasant change to get a proper logical explanation of why he would do such a thing.
I quite enjoyed John Sims' performance as Razor, the character he played. It was quite fun. And the bit that made me laugh is when Bill gives him a cuddle. And she's like, oh, that really hurts my heart when you give me a cuddle. Oh, that's really sweet. No, it just hurts my heart because it's pressing on my chest. That was very funny, yeah.
Good tea or bad tea? Which one do you want? Good tea or bad tea? It was quite funny, wasn't it? Yeah.
Again, with that, as Dr. Red Hoodorf is saying, one upside is that Sims Master used to pull the mask off again. Yeah, that's done because it's a Master thing, isn't it, really, to dress up with the mask on.
Going back to I was talking about Time Flight last week, which still gives me the shudders. The reveal of the Master is done so much better here than Anthony Ainley in Time Flight. That was so sloppily done. At least here you get a proper reveal sequence,
and it's grown up.
There is a shock element to it.
No goo, George. No goo coming from the nose.
No snot, Graham. No, nothing.
There's a shock element to it, especially to Missy, because I is it just me, or does she not really remember her previous incarnation? Something's gone on there. She doesn't remember being him. Something's right. Forbidden Man is saying BBC drowned out the dialogue with constant background music. I couldn't watch the shows. I had to wait for the Matt Smith era to enjoy it again. Matt Smith was before. Oh, I see. That's just generally right. Okay. Thank you, mate. Thank you very much. Lots of you in the chat with us tonight. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Stephen O'Neill saying to us that Missy kills her past incarnation because he refuses to stand with the Doctor and chooses to flee. After spending years trying to change and finally choosing to side with the Doctor, he says that, as I say, is that redemption arc, which it's not going to work. You can't change with the Master. The Master has to be a villain all the time. As Skeletor said in the recent Masters of the Universe movie, I'm the baddie.
well, if you complete that redemption arc, where do you go from there? There's got to be a point where it then backfires and Missy turns back into her old ways, which would be another interesting story to do, but it doesn't really work for this. Because
it just seems a bit pointless, but yeah.
This whole series, well, I remember Monks or something, but I mean, it seems to me that here they are at the end of this series. What was it, 12 episodes or something? And they seem to have run out, or Moffat seems to have run out of time. He's got so many ideas and he's run out of time now. So he's just trying to push it up because, as you said, there could have been various elements that could have been, but he decided to cop out with episode 2 of this. A lot of it could have been there. Aurum, good to see you. Bill surviving a huge section of her torso, getting 100% blasted out, becoming see-through like a Looney Tunes cartoon, was so ridiculous that I couldn't take it seriously after that. Yeah, she's human. She would have died instantly.
Yes. I think that's an execution. Well.
Yes. Remarkably gore-free as well.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I mean, I get it. I think it's another thing about Moffat's idea of what Doctor Who is, and that's why you shouldn't do anything that dramatic to your companions. Or, I mean, because if that had been another companion, if that had been another character, you wouldn't have seen them again. They would have dropped dead or been atomized. But no, it's the companion. He should have had us stunned or wounded. The wound would have been enough.
I think this is where our two conversations kind of merge, really, because you've got the Missy redemption arc and the Doctor trying to make her come to his side and be a force for good, but it actually backfires in that it gets Bill killed.
Yeah. The other thing about that, though, Bedway, I don't understand is the Doctor may have succeeded with Missy because she was female. That's all they're doing it for, because females can't be bad, obviously. But she still has the power of regeneration, and look what comes next. So you can't have a redemption arc necessarily, because the next regeneration was another aspect of the original character. So he would have possibly turned around and just got rid of the Doctor almost immediately after regeneration. It's a very interesting thing, but I don't necessarily think it suits the Master. It would have been better had it been the Guardian of the Nethersphere panel.
Totally agree with that.
If the Guardian of the Nethersphere had carried on and the redemption arc was there and the Master have dispatched her, that would have had more of a dramatic impact, I think.
Yeah.
I think the problem is they only bloody, why can't we just have like a new Time Lord that we never all Time Lady that we've never known about it or seen on screen, but has a history with the Doctor off screen, and you bring something, as you say, something new to the table rather than just going back to the Master who's been overdone so many times, and even Nirvani, go and create something new and make it interesting. Because surely there's more than two bad Time Lords / Time Ladies that exist from Gallifrey. I'm sure there's Omega and all that kind of stuff, but there's going to be more. So the easy thing would be just to create a whole new character from scratch.
The other thing about that, though, Emilio, is that this version of the series that's just ended established very, very, very quickly that there were no other Time Lords. They'd all gone. And this is where it gets confused. They come back, they go back, they're there, they're not, they're there, they're not. Oh, make your bloody mind up. To any new producers coming into Doctor Who for the new series, please stop the pretentious nonsense. Stop trying to be clever and just give us bloody good science fiction drama series, please. None of all this nonsense, because it's, you know, look at our review now. You know, come on, just give us.
Did anyone feel watching this, and this something really got me when we talked about this earlier? JT said this is 2017. It doesn't seem that long ago, and it's not that long ago in terms of years. But what got me was the fact that the special effects in this are terrible. Apart the space sequence of the CGI with the Cybermen blowing up and stuff like that is bloody awful. It's really dated in places, I think.
Yeah, but you know how I've always said, Paul, that the version that's just finished will be dated because it's very much based on its time, and even this one, you know.
But you can really see that the budget's not quite reaching. You know what I mean?
That's it. I mean, even though this one isn't set on, I think it must be one of the few that isn't set on modern day Earth.
Yeah,
and yet they still have to cramp this whole thing about farm into it and all this sort of stuff. And yet the city looks quite good and it's quite mysterious and eerie and spooky and dangerous.
There's a lovely sequence in the city where Rachel Talalay does that shot of the Cybermen standing in the window like the tombs, and they turn and march off. That was a lovely shot, I thought.
Talking of dating it, is it Nardole who gets the line about the ultimate Apple upgrade or something? You know, when he throws the apple bomb thing, he's making an illusion with the Apple, you know, phone people, isn't he, sort of thing. So
Matt Lucas has got a great line, Graham, about the when he says to her, permission to kick your arse, and she says, well, you need to go back to the hospital to get it, which is a great line. I like that,
Chris Cars in the audience is saying to us, they never explain how the Master is back after the end of time, and he doesn't have to see through, and he doesn't have the see-through head.
They say there is a line on it at the beginning of part 2, which is basically the Doctor's like, well, how did you? Because obviously in the end of time, he kind of he basically attacked Rassilon with his superpower, doesn't he? And he goes back into the time war. So you kind of like, because he was basically dying. I know it's a load of nonsense, but basically the line is, you know, how did you kind of like, you know, kind of survive, like, you know, what happened when you went back to Gallifrey, and basically the Doctor kind of, you know, they kind of implied, so they fixed your little condition, basically, the Time Lords, obviously, and kicked him out. So the idea was he went back into the Time War, and basically the Time Lord kicked him out and fixed his condition that would basically cause, you know, going to basically cause him to die. And I think it was just a one-line thing to explain it, basically.
No, that says an awful lot about the Time Lords. Yeah, we'll just let this murderous freak loose in the universe through time and space. Well done, them, everybody. There's a story there. You think
it is the British government, allegedly. So.
Have they not got anywhere like the Phantom Zone, for crying out loud, in Superman? Come on, we need something like that for these Time Lords, you know?
But the Master reappearing is absolutely consistent, because we never know how he escapes from Castrovalva, Zarefas. He just reappears every now
Zarefas, I have to say, Bedwell, that was Chameleon helped him. Remember that? Yeah, absolutely.
Richard Brooks, thank you for your comment. What does the Master want? These are good questions. This is a good question. In the classic era, he was chasing power to prolong his life. In the modern show, he has regenerations and he's 100% a Time Lord. So what does he want now? To rule all time? It's a good point. I mean, I don't think he wants anything in this book, but to get off, basically. I mean, you know, to get away from this nightmare he's in. I mean, he must have been there for decades, because he's at the bottom with no working TARDIS. What do you guys think?
Yeah,
I think it's survival is what the Master is concerned about in this story, rather than I'm here and if he can create some chaos, or there can be chaos and that ensures at the same time, then he's a happy man, basically. Whereas I think the Master previously in the previous story has always been it's either very much I want to cause absolute chaos and destruction, or I'm out for my own survival, my own skin. That's what I've always took from the Master stories. It's usually either of the two. Sorry, Graham.
No, totally agree. I mean, definitely, I think he's in his particular story just concerned in trying to escape, basically, isn't he? And if he can cause any problems on the way alongside it, he'll happily do so. But it's a funny character, isn't it? I find it very hard to equate what I'm looking at with John Sims as Roger Delgado, but of course, this probably says more about me than the actual program.
We no one can replace Roger Delgado.
No, we mentioned in one. Thanks, Funky. You were saying, well, look at what the High Council was prepared to do in the Five Doctors. Yeah, exactly. And Chris Cad saying to you, Emilio, thanks for explaining that, Emilio. I couldn't rewatch part 2 after watching part 1.
I'm glad you were paying attention, Emilio. That's good to explain that. I'm glad you're here.
Well, because I was actually genuinely interested when it came live, like how he came back after that. Because my thought were, well, Timothy Dalton, who shame we didn't get to see more of him as Rassilon. No chance you're going back into the time when you just basically attacked that guy, man. You're screwed. You're not coming out, getting out of this. So I was quite curious, and I was a little bit disappointed. It was kind of a throwaway line, but I kind of took it for what it was, basically.
It's a packed script. We've got to give it that, haven't we? And I think, to be honest, I think the director, Rachel Talalay, is a very competent director. I think she does a local good job with this.
Yeah. There were some very, very nice visuals in it, as you said earlier, Paul. Some of the shots, like the Cybermen and the window and everything, they were beautifully framed and structured.
Atmospheric, wasn't it?
Yeah. But I have to say, the second part, I struggled to stay with it. I was just so disengaged with it. It was, apart from a couple of brief scenes, such a tedious shoot 'em up, knock 'em down, run around, that it just had no impact whatsoever.
Yeah.
That's down to the script, though, isn't it, really?
Yeah, that's certainly, it's down to the script.
It's such a shame, George, because I agree with you totally. And I was the same. I'm starting to drift out of this thinking, is this still on? Do you know what I mean? And I remember feeling the same time about that in 2017, thinking, I can't go on with this. I know what's happening. I know she's on the way. I don't want it. And this is the time for me to go. This is it. Because I never saw the Christmas one that follows this. But,
I watched it on iPlayer and I watched part 2 and thought, Christ, this is an hour. I can't stand this. Surely.
It's a long time, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's such a shame because this... She's doing Talalay is doing such a great job with what she's got in this script, and yet if you look again at the first episode, it's very atmospheric, it's very spooky. There's elements of scares in there, and then suddenly she's given a farmhouse and flying Cybermen, Cybermen.
In the first episode, it's clear, that she's seen the script, she's seen the set designs, and she's thought, right, what can I do with this? How can I make this the best it can possibly be?
Yeah,
because the hospital was a very cheap location, obviously, but it works wonderfully well.
Yeah.
She brought a real flair to it.
Yeah.
Whereas the second episode, it was like, dear God, how much more of this is there? What can I be doing instead of watching this?
I nodded off twice watching it.
Did you?
Yeah, probably heat, to be fair, but give the benefit of the doubt.
I watched it last night, Paul, because it was so hot, so I watched it again. And like George was saying, part 2 is like quite a big downgrade. And then the bit that really, I thought, oh no, was when that puddle girl comes back. And I can't remember I can't remember much of her story the first time. And in the first story, she's in it, isn't she? But it so reminded me of what happened with Clara. And it spoils such a great idea. Suddenly, we all live happily ever after, and she goes off to see the universe with a puddle girl, and it's like, oh no.
And Naldol is left on the spaceship, isn't he? So he's eventually going to get turned into a Cyberman. Is that right?
Yeah, he's copped it, as far as I understand. Eventually, he can't get away, can he? Eventually, that he says,
Which is interesting. He's a robot as well.
But I don't like that. The Doctor does not save the day here, and yet it's not played upon, and yet he doesn't go back. She doesn't go back to fix it. That's terrible. That's letting the character of the Doctor down for me. The Doctor is removed from the action. It reminded me a little bit of Trial of a Time Lord, actually, in Mind Warp. He's removed from the action unwillingly. And yet the adventure is still carrying on. So all those people those humans that are with Nodal, and any humans or blue things or whatever they are at the top of the ship,
Smurfs.
The Smurfs are doomed.
Yeah.
Good point.
I think that's the point of the story, that the Doctor knows that, and that basically he just wants to like do the right thing and fight for. I think in his own words, like kind of fight for as long as we possibly can. We probably will. We're probably not going to get ourselves out of this one. Which I actually quite like the fact there's a story that basically the Doctor, like there is that kind of inevitable doom, and the Doctor necessarily can't get, like, he's not going to be able to get himself out of all situations and wave the magic wand, which I quite like actually about this story. And I also quite like the fact that it is a finale that is not an end of the world, end of the universe story.
Yeah.
It's in that way it is trying to be as self-contained as a finale that you would get in the modern version of Doctor Who. So I can appreciate it for that. I don't mind the fact that the Doctor's kind of out of his depth in this situation. I think it's good to show that, like they did with Midnight. The Doctor was out of his depth. He's only saved by the cabin crew. I mean, lady. So I quite like that. I think you need those stories sometimes.
I think you do. I think that has to be. I agree with you, Amelia, but I think there has to be another way of where the Doctor, he regenerates twice after this. Three times after this. Good God, it's all over the place. 3 times after this, he regenerates, and not one of them bothers to go back to fix the situation or get the spaceship from the black hole, as far as we're aware, or anything like that. I think it says an awful lot about the convenience of the Doctor, if you know what I mean. Am I making any sort of sense? I think it lets the character down. Yeah, I understand that.
It weakens it, yeah.
His friend is stuck there with a load of people around him. He doesn't go back to get his friend. I mean, I don't know. I'm not comfortable with it personally.
Doctor Who works best when the Doctor is the hero.
Yeah.
Yes, and here he's not made into the hero. It's conveniently forgotten because he has to get a regeneration to turn himself into a woman. That's all this is building up to. And that would have happened at the end of the Doctor Falls had Chibnall decided he didn't want to do the Christmas one. I mean, that's a story in itself, isn't it? Oh, Chris Chibnall, I don't want to do a Christmas one. The BBC, if you don't do a Christmas one, you lose the Christmas episode. Stephen Moffat, I'll do the Christmas episode. Let's recontract Bacaldi. We rewrite the ending. We'll do something else. Chris Chibnall, 2 years later, I still don't want to do a Christmas one. Oh, we'll do it at New Year. Oh, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
What a mess.
It is a mess, isn't it? I'll tell you another thing, actually. I love these reviews because what I actually had written down on my pad was, yesterday when I watched it, I quite liked the fact that the first episode is quite dark, claustrophobic and atmospheric, and part 2 is all sunny, bright sunshine and out in the countryside in the fields and stuff. But then listening to us talking about it today, I realised that it doesn't really, like Julianne said in the comments, it's all over the place, isn't it? So although there is a quite nice kind of like change of pace and change of scenery, it kind of falls off a cliff a little bit, doesn't it? So what I'm getting at is, by us talking tonight, my plus point of the new change of scenery in the second episode of the country house and the fields and the lightness of it all, and it's all very open and bright, contradicts so much with the dark, claustrophobic nature of the first episode, which I viewed yesterday as a positive. Now I'm not so sure if it is really. Maybe it's not so positive. Maybe it just is all over the place and hasn't really got any idea where it's going.
I think that thing of having a story in 2 halves and the second half contrasts with the first can work very well. And the example that springs to mind for me is the Stones of Blood, where you've got all the folk horror type stuff around the stone circle, and then you go into hyperspace and you're on the spaceship. But both halves work very well.
Yeah. Funky had said Andrew has a similar situation to this. I don't agree respectfully, Funks. In the Doctor didn't leave Perry on Androzani. He got her out. And then he regenerated. He died. Here, he's left Nodal and a whole load of humans, and goodness knows what other sort of human-based life form, because they were all springing up like this all over the shop because of the different time zones. He left them to die and become Cybermen. Therefore, the cyber race is now huge, which has never been explained as far as I'm concerned, but in the show.
I think I don't know whether it's in the Doctor Falls or in the Christmas special, but I think it suggested that the Doctor has destroyed most of the Cybermen, and the humans that are left are capable of overcoming them going forward. So? I think so, because when Nardole reappears, whatever, it's like that glass thing in, I've forgotten it twice, whatever Is it
Twice Upon a Time? Yeah,
Twice
Upon a Time.
I think there's a little bit of dialogue about how long Nardole has lived for and lived out his days on that ship. But I mean, I guess the ship is still trying to reverse away from a black hole as well. So like, it's not really the most satisfying end for Nardole in particular, and for that ship.
I tell you what, isn't also for me. Well, in a sense, it's a satisfying end with hindsight. But at the time I watched this, I had an eye roll moment, and I just thought, what the hell is this? This whole ending, the Dr. Falls, was a massive cop-out. However, with hindsight, I can look at this and say, well, for me, it was a brilliant way to jump off Doctor Who, because here's the 12th Doctor at the end of his life, which we all thought it was supposed to be the end of his life, meeting his first incarnation, leave it there.
My first reaction was, he's wearing the wrong bloody gloves. What have you done? Yeah, that was my reaction. Yeah.
I don't know where I stand on this. I really don't, and I think I have to watch the next story, the Christmas one, to try and work out. Because I don't know if I think it's brilliant or rubbish. I just don't know. I'm not sure about this. It's a clever idea. I mean, I'm not the way Bradley played it, or the way the character is written, probably doesn't bear scrutiny. But the actual idea of it, I don't know if it's genius or silly. I don't know. Watch the next one and find out.
I remember watching the Christmas one when it went out, which would have been Christmas 17, was it?
Yes.
Yeah. But my abiding memory was, firstly, I thought David Bradley was far better playing William Hartnell than he was playing the Doctor.
Okay.
Because he played a caricature of the first Doctor, and a very bad caricature of the first Doctor, which is so skewed towards, aren't I a misogynist? Look how much I've developed and all the rest of it. It was insulting. And secondly, I'm very firmly of the opinion that any Doctor's final story should be about them. They should be the centre of the attention. It should not be a multi-Doctor story where they share the limelight. It should be about that Doctor doing something so heroic he loses his life.
Yeah.
And to me, that was a big flaw in it.
I agree with what you're saying, George, about the fact that it should be just the Doctor. But actually, bizarrely, when I first watched this in 2017, the next episode, Twice Upon a Time, I hated it because of the idea of the Doctor being sexist and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Having rewatched it since, once you get past that as an actual joke, I think there's a lot of fun to be had from this episode, and it's quite entertaining. But I do agree it would be better if it was just Capaldi on his own, doing his own thing, and it's focused on his Doctor, not an extra Doctor as well. That's probably too much for a finale story of any era. Yeah,
I do remember the recreation of the original TARDIS set, looking and going, "Oh, that's beautiful." You know, can we just have the rest of the episode in that TARDIS set, please?
Yeah. I appreciate we're not here to review Twice Upon a Time, but I think my expectations going from the Doctor Falls into that episode were very much, we've got the 12th incarnation who's seemingly very much happy to just die now and not regenerate, encountering his first incarnation who's going through this whole process for the first time. F you, Chibnall. For the first time, and that dynamic would be really interesting. Of one incarnation's gone through this many times, and they help each other go through the process. But instead, we got some nonsense about people made of glass and cameos and all that sort of stuff.
I can't comment because I've never seen it and never will, because I know what happens at the end of it. So it's a waste of my time. But for me, seeing this whole thing with the first Doctor, I didn't like it at the time. I wasn't comfortable watching it for this review. But it's also quite a nice way to say that's where you jump off. That's where you can end. It's come full circle. That's it. That's the end of the show. Had it finished there and not come back for the Whittaker era, nice ending, in a sense. I would have given it a bit more of an appraisal, Amelia.
Yeah, I think the issue with this is that you just had a constant story. Like this is when Who was really like too many multi-Doctor stories. You just come off a multi-Master story where you're basically getting two versions of Master to tell a story around that character journey or arc, basically. And now you're trying to do exactly the same thing an episode later with the Doctor, as you said, which is a great, it's a good, interesting idea. As you said, Bev, we're around, the fact that you've got the third Doctor about to go through his third regeneration, you've got the 12th Doctor basically not wanting to regenerate. And they do play on that in the next episode. But I just think had David Bradley character just rocked up and we not had too much in terms of multi-Doctor story, multi-Master stories, then I would have probably been more at the time more kind of excited about it. But because we had all of that stuff already, I'm kind of like, not really again. It's like, there's no, it just felt like a show that had run out of ideas basically. And that was my thought.
I'm glad you said that, because I totally agree with how you've said that there. This was a perfect way. This is where the BBC should have said, if they wanted to finish it, rather than let it cling on and try an unnecessary gender change, they should have said, let's rest it here. Let's rest it here. But, or found a showrunner that Capaldi was going to like. They could have revolved this around Peter Capaldi to say, you want to do a 4th year? We'll get you someone. Who do you want to showrun it? Do you know what I mean? Rather than saying, here's Chris Chibnall, blah, 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 all that nonsense. But anyway, it didn't happen. And it's a shame. For me, as we get towards scores on the TARDIS doors, for me, this is a letdown in part 2 for the Cybermen. And it's a letdown, I think, for the Master. But that's just myself. We are going to come to scores on the TARDIS doors now. This is where I ask you in the chat, as well as the panel, to give World Enough of Time and the Doctor Falls a mark out of 10.
Scores on the TARDIS doors. If you like this story, did you think it bores? Give your scores on the TARDIS doors.
Yes, indeed. As you know, we are celebrating 60 years of the Cybermen, as well as our Master of the Universe series here on Who's Views. I hope you're enjoying them. I can tell you at this particular point that coming up next in our 60th anniversary specials for the Cybermen, it's Earthshock. That's coming up for you in July. It's been much in demand as part of this series, and I've kept you waiting for nearly 2 years. So Yabu,
you tease.
It's coming for you. Also, coming up as part of Master of the Universe next week, it's audio time, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, because we're looking at the Big Finish audio, The Psychic Circus, where James Dreyfus takes on the mantle of the Master with the greatest show in the galaxy. So that's all coming up for you. And if you want something different, this Friday here on the channel, live at 8 o'clock, we're going to be reviewing Season 1, Story 2 of the Sarah Jane Adventures with Eye of the Gorgon. It's all going on here, Packed for you, boys and girls. Packed for you. Right, I'm going to start with Kirsty, the lady of the chat herself. Out of 10, my lovely, what are you going to give the scores on the TARDIS doors?
I would give the first episode an 8 for the horror. And then for episode 2, I'd give it a 6. And that's only because of that scene with Bill and the Doctor in the barn. It's the beginning of the end of rubbish coming. So yeah.
The rubbish is okay, so an 8 and a 6, Kirst.
Yeah.
Okay, lovely.
Well, that's 14 out of 10 then. How does that work?
Well, 10 for each episode. 10 for each episode.
You can't count.
All right, then. Chef Brackett saying to us, I gave up watching long before this episode aired, and I've got no regrets about it. Classic Who forever, new Who never. Well, it's finished now, mate, so you're all right. Okay, Graham, what are you going to give the scores on the TARDIS scores?
Oh, this is a tough one. I find it very, very hard to use the same sort of scoring criteria as I do with the classics. So it's going to be based on other New Who stories, and I must admit, I think Capaldi and Smith are by far my favourites of the New Who Doctors. Going back to this particular story, obviously the first part is superior. The horror part of it was quite chilling at places. I was quite surprised how far they went with it, which was hugely appealing. And I can imagine being a youngster and loving it. I should imagine if you're 8 or 9 watching this for the first time, you'd be quite scared, quite chilled, and wanting more. And even as an adult, I thoroughly enjoyed the first part. Second part, yeah, it falls off a cliff. The ending is very odd. The Cybermen seem very easily defeated to me as well. I was quite surprised. There didn't seem any kind of major jeopardy there. But as for a mark out of 10, it's so difficult. But bearing in mind that I think I prefer this to quite a lot of New Who, I'm going to give it an overall score of 7 out of 10.
For both episodes, you want to do that? Or?
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to do half and half, then the first one 8, the second one 6.
Go on then, George, your turn.
Okay, well, as everybody said, the 2 very contrasting episodes. I think there's more good stuff than bad stuff in the first episode. And I think, as you said, JT, Rachel Talalay really fights to give it some real flair. And I think she and Peter Capaldi and the cast were hamstrung with some really dreadful dialogue, some really nauseating virtue signalling and tick boxing, which didn't kick the legs from under it, but certainly hampered it. The second episode, as I said, I struggled to stay with it. I mean, it was a real slog to get through to the end credits. And the fact that they showed the regeneration at the very start of the first episode just tells you straight away where it's going.
Yes.
Which again takes a lot of tension out of it.
Yes.
So the first episode, I would say, because things like the atmosphere and the horror elements and the return of the 10th planet Cybermen and how they gave them the origin story, which really chimed with me, I would give that a 6. The second episode, I'll be kind and say because it looked good, it had Samantha Spiro doing what she could, Peter Capaldi, again, hamstrung by just what he was or was not given to do. But as you say, he really embodied the Doctor. He was just given from what I've seen, such bad material to work with. I would rescore that right down to a 2.
Okay.
So overall, add them together, divide by 2, it's going to be a 4 out of 10 overall for me.
Emilio.
So if I think about the Moffat kind of finales, Wedding of the Song, we had The Name of the Doctor, Dark Water, and Death in Heaven, and then you had Heaven Sent and Hell Bent, and then you have this.
Well remembered.
I actually think that this 2-parter is actually one of the stronger Moffat finale. Now that doesn't mean too much in the sense that Moffat is really good at the third part. If you look at Heaven Sent, that's set in a castle. It's it's a very, very kind of self-contained story, and then afterwards it's Gallifrey. It's a completely different setup. We've had something similar here, and I think I probably got to the point when I was watching this that I was like, it's like deja vu all over again. So it kind of tanked my rating a little bit because I'm like, at that point, I'm just frustrated with you. I'm just like, you've not learned your lesson. You keep doing the same thing. So I would probably give it a 6 out of 10 overall. I would definitely give the third part a 7 because I do think the body horror, as everyone mentioned, I think the build up of the Mondasian Cybermen reveal was really good, and the atmosphere is really good. I think the directing great. I actually have to praise Murray Gold. I actually think in music for the hospital, I think was quite eerie and really good and really worked with the story. But as you guys have said, that part 2, there were moments that Kirsty said, like the Cybermen, the Bill realizing that she's a Cyberman, I think, really good. I quite like the fact that there's a kind of inevitable doom to the whole story. But then there's a lot of crap. Cybermen blowing up, Sonic Screwdriver turning into Magic Wand, Harry Potter Wand, all of the annoying stuff from New Who that I, again, was frustrated by the point, it was still there. So yeah, 7 out of 10 from me.
Fabulous. All right, Paul.
Now, I have to say something that frustrates me sometimes is when Doctor Who fans separate New Who story is a two-parter, 1 episode and 2 episodes. As far as I'm concerned, it's a complete story. So it has to fall on the merits of the complete story. You know,
Okay.
the Doctor Fall sadly kills the first episode for me a bit because it's so all over the place. I think there's a lot of good stuff in this in the first episode. I agree with all the stuff about the atmosphere, the direction, some great stuff in the first episode, some great atmosphere, great bits of the Cybermen. I was a bit disappointed when they brought the Cybermen back that they actually kind of neutered their helmets a little bit, if I could say that, I don't know. But they've actually, you know, they lost that height and that kind of, they made them look a bit more ridiculous. And I didn't like the rubber gloves very much either, because they better be real hands. You know, why they did that, I'm not quite sure. But anyway, but it'd be more creepy if they were real hands anyway. But I think there's a lot of potential in it, you know, and it's. I just wish Stephen Moffat could tell a straight story, a linear story. And like Amelia said, he does it all the time, this constant, here's the new part again, all flashbacky kind of stuff, something new. And it just killed it stone dead for me. So I watched it again today thinking, I remember saying to UJT before we did this, that part one was really good. I was actually disappointed with part one. I thought it was actually better. It was better the first time I saw it. This time I was a bit disappointed. And part two is just so weak, you know? So I'm going to give it a low score, probably 5 out of 10. I'm disappointed by it.
Adria.
I'm immediately going to defy Paul and treat these as two separate episodes. Back in 2017, I was actually writing reviews.
Oh, somebody's got a mic on or a volume up.
Oh yeah, I'm echoing. No, back in 2017, I was writing reviews of these episodes, and I can vividly remember the impact that World Enough in Time had on me. Watching it a couple of days before broadcast, just you know, I connected my laptop up to the television, but I was blown away by how good it was. The horror element that we've talked about, the empathy I had for the patients, and the turnaround for Bill and the, you know, her conversion. So that is easily a 10 out of 10. I can overlook all the other criticisms of that particular episode that we've talked about. But for me, it is a 10 out of 10 episode of Doctor Who. It is the best example of Doctor Who in the modern era that I saw.
Okay.
The Doctor Falls, however, completely ruins it. I mentioned earlier, you know, that opening scene where, you know, they take the patients that you felt this empathy for and, you know, treat them like they were all the other Cybermen and gun them down and you know, all of that sort of stuff. Not a lot really happens, if I'm honest. The Master stuff just kind of muddies the water, and that shift to, you know, these solar farms doesn't work for me at all. I think Peter Capaldi is tremendous throughout it, and he carries it. But for me, the Doctor Falls is a 4 out of 10. So overall, you know, balance the two, it's 7 for the whole.
Not bad score there, but thank you, panel, for that. We're going to come to you in the chat in a second. For myself, as I have to reiterate, I haven't watched this since 2017. This is where I said goodbye to the Doctor until we here at Who's Who started to review that crap in 2023. So I have still said goodbye to the Doctor. And for me, Capaldi is still out there in the snow regenerating, waiting to see what happens at the end of that one. On rewatch, I enjoyed World Enough in Time, apart from the chip scene. I don't appreciate it. I didn't like it. I didn't like some of the dialogue. And that's why I would never give it a 10. I would probably give it a 7, to be honest, because it loses points for all the nonsense. However, as a whole, I don't like the Doctor Falls at all. I think it's awful. I have listened to you guys. I was going to give this thing a 5 out of 10. However, I have listened to you all, and I'm still going to give the whole thing a 5 out of 10. So, yeah, not for me. This was just not for me. So 5 out of 10, I'm going to give it. Let's get into the chat. Such a shame, because episode 1 was really good. Legion James, part 1, definitely the stronger of the two. With part 2, the Doctor Falls falling off the cliff. Part 1, I give 7 out of 10. Part 2, 3 out of 10. So overall, for the whole story, a 5 out of 10. PTA, 3. Steve Andrews, a 7. Avon is also giving it a 7. Thank you, everybody. Funky, despite everything, it's got Capaldi, the Master, and the Cybermen a 7 out of 10. Thank you. Julianne is giving it a 5. Some guy is giving it a 4. 4 out of 30 on that one. John Roberts, part 1, 7.5. And part 2, a 4 out of 10. Thank you for that one. Space Peninsula is saying 7 for me. Capaldi elevates everything. He certainly does. The Cybermen dragged down by the Masters should have been a Cyberman story, but somewhere they lost the confidence in allowing the Cybermen to have their own story. Absolutely. Yeah. Just Jordan, it's good to see you, darling. Bloody love that Sarah Jane episode that's coming up this Friday on the channel, live at 8. That's going to be fun. Chris Kaz is saying to us 5 out of 10. Loses points for the innuendos and the flirting. Bill Lowry, 7 out of 10. Like most parters, the second part throws away a decent first part. The dark horror of part 1 is lost in a confusing mishmash of whatever the hell the second part was about. Good point. Paul Richards, 7 out of 10 from me. Capaldi was magnificent. Sea Devil Sushi, it's lovely to see you. 5 out of 10. Capaldi's wife should have been the next producer for 3 more years. We would have got something. We would have got something special with her doing that. Did someone say Earthshock? Said Julianne. Yeah, I know you love it. It's coming up for you in a couple of weeks' time. Derek Hart, my score is 7.5. Should have non-fan as showrunner producer. Yep. Yeah. We've been saying that a lot. We might get it now. Stephen Braddock, 6 out of 10. If it had all been like part 1, it would be much higher. The horror of part 1 was so good, but part 2 fell apart with Little House on the Prairie with flying Cybermen. Dalek Shalom, episode 1, 5.5 out of 10. Episode 2, 1 out of 10. And Time Flight was way better.
Oh, yeah.
And that's saying something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Aurum, part 1, 7. Part 2, 5. Funky is saying, I may have some very controversial opinions on Earthshock. Oh, good, I can't wait. Please be kind to me because that stream will be around my birthday. Remind us then, Funky, and we'll say happy birthday too. So remind us of that. Philip Shaw, 7 out of 10. Capaldi as the Doctor. Cyberman Horror Hospital is creepy. Master motivation is ridiculously confused. Direction is excellent, especially the intercutting of Bill and Cyber Bill. That's what we talked about there. That's absolutely right there. Nice to see you there. Just Jordan again there. You've got the mark there. Derek Hart, first part, 9 out of 10. Oh, now he's left me on a cliffhanger as I have to find what his second part was. Doctor Who 1963, 2 out of 10, unfortunately. They should have focused on the Cybermen and the horror and really fleshed it out. I keep saying, don't I? They need a bloody good script editor back in Doctor Who. Someone that's going to be honest with these foreigners and say, look, you need to add a bit more here and hurry up about it.
I'll take it out.
Yeah. Steve O'Neill, 8 out of 10. I love the Capaldi era. The story shows his acting talents, devastating emotional stakes, stellar performances from Capaldi. Capaldi carries it. That's why I give it a high rating. Absolutely fine. Thank you very much. Richard Brooks, for the 2 combined, 7 out of 10. Oh, no. Paul, says Funky, maybe we should do different ratings for each episode of Dimensions in Time and in with the obligatory mention of the most canon story ever. Get off.
Part 1's the best episode. I'm just okay.
Combined.
Big Ron comes in. What more could you want? Yeah. So.
North Russell's 10 combined. It's an 8 out of 10. Thank you, mate. And hello to, what's this? Q Ost 1. I hope I'm saying that right. Nice to see you. Welcome to Who's Views. Not seen you before. Overall 8, but the second part is a 2. Everybody's saying what we're saying, I think, guys, in the chat. The second part is basically the Doctor Falls.
And as always, Capaldi shouted out because he carries pretty much all of the grips, basically. Bless him. He wasn't given the best grip, but my God, he carried it very well.
He did.
I think it'd be, imagine this episode 2 especially without Capaldi and somebody else playing the Doctor. That would make
you couldn't. Yeah. I mean, if Whittaker had got this or Gatwa, I don't know what to think. Some guy is saying, I found the credits more enjoyable than the entire 2-parter. I hate that bloody title sequence.
Oh, yeah.
Awful. Curious Case, the Doctor and the Master should have gone out like Butch and Sundance and a hail of gunfire, 6 out of 10. Crossed One is also saying to me 8 overall for the second part. Okay, part 2. PTA is saying to us, guys, 10 out of 10 for doing Earthshock. It was bound to happen this year. I've just made you wait, but it was bound to happen. Thank you, Legion of James is saying, please give us a subscription. Any more scores on the TARDIS stores there, anybody? If not, I'll call it a day on that. Well, that has been a great show. Again, thank you to Stephen Moffat for giving us a perfect story for our crossover of our celebration of 60 years of the Cybermen and our Master of the Universe series. That was very good of you. Thank you very much. But next time, try harder. That's all I'm saying there. A little bit of a red marker there from me. And no gold star stuck on your little jotter there. I hope you enjoyed it, panel.
Yes, we did. Yes,
yeah,
really good.
I really enjoyed hearing what you thought about this, and it was for me actually. It was interesting to go back to something I haven't seen for all that time. You know, just
9 years today.
And as I said to you, I've written down. Now I've got to go and watch the rest. It's not going to happen anytime soon. But get ready for us all, everybody. To Kirsty, to Graham, to George, to Emilio, to Paul, and to Bedouin. Thank you so much, everybody. Really enjoyed that. Lots coming up for you, as we say there. Earthshock is next. We've got, if you've got access to it, the Psychic Circus is coming up as well. That's a little bit different for you. And this Friday, it's back to the Sarah Jane Adventures for the Eye of the Gorgon. I hope you've all enjoyed it. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. If you're not new to the channel, please make sure you are still subscribed. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook. Where else can they find? That's it. You can also look back at all our playlists. So thank you very much for joining. Give us a thumbs up, give us a hype, whatever you want to do there. But we will see you again next time on the channel with some more outer space goodliness. From all of us here, take care of yourselves. We'll see you soon. Ta-ra.
Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.